Facebook looks live. Voice Larry or authority. So did you guys hear my voice? Just let me know if you can hear my voice. There's a little sound here. Can you hear my voice? Okay, let's try it that way. Can you hear my voice now? Yeah, it looks like I can. Okay, great. I'm cutting in and out. Yes, now you should hear no music. What I've been trying to do is integrate my little soundtrack without a film stuff. I've got some things happening there. Laura can hear me great. So how's it going, folks? It's 12:21, which is it's a bunch of things. Always been a special day. It's the solstice, right? So I like the solstice because there's 4 of them, I guess, right? There's a winter solstice, summer solstice, spring. And what's remarkable is it's math. It has to do with the planet moving through the various positions relative to the sun and relative to other planets and our solar system's orientation. It's just fascinating. So it's the what is it? The shortest day? Yeah, shortest day. Least sunlight today. Least sunlight ever of the year, of the 12 months in this year. But that's what's interesting. Even making up 12 months and 30 days, 31 days, 28, that's all kind of, it's based on the moon. So again, there's math there because there's absolutely a moon, a full moon, as the moon is circumnavigating the earth. Is that, orbiting, of course, but I'm trying to be fancy. But fascinating stuff. And I love that balance of what's arbitrary and what's actually happening in objective space. Like if we just arrived here, the moon would be going at a certain rate. Interestingly, it's the dark side of the moon, right? Because the moon itself is spinning at the same speed it's going around the earth. So we always get the same side, right? You know that? We never see the other side. Did you know that that's actually kind of odd and rare when you look at other moons on our solar system? Um, there's usually they're not synced up. So if you lived on Jupiter, or, one of these planets with moons, you'd see the whole surface of the moons at some point. Very interesting about our moon. It's exactly the same rotation as how long it takes to go around the Earth. So anyway, enough of space, but just wanted to touch base on that and say, celebrate the solstice, folks, because it's the real deal. And whatever part of the planet you're on, your planet, your seasons are changing. Tonight, of course, spectacular. We'll be on the back deck. It's going to be clear. It looks like we've been looking at Mars for months now. It's been really clear and awesome in the southeast sky and the southern sky. But tonight, Saturn, Jupiter will be very close, and they'll be so close that they shine. Well, they're reflecting sunlight, right? Planets don't put off their own light. It's all sunlight, but they'll be shining together. And I think it's not happened since the 1200s or something. So quite remarkable. Again, we have remarkable things around us. And often they're celestial and astronomical. But that's going to be incredible. If you can see it, look to the southwest sky. They say about an hour after sunset. So for us, that's six. I got it written down. You can look it up if it's your thing. I don't want to spend too many details on that, other than to say it's always special when something doesn't happen for um, 800 years. So so there's all that. 1221 finally is also. Oh, thank you, Laura. And it won't happen again. This lineup for 80 years. So since our moon is flat, yes, very funny. The flat Earth people. Well, the flat Earth people, they actually say they say everything else is a sphere. That's what's funny. I mean, I've been to their website and they say all the other ones are spherical. It's just here that's flat, and we're looking at these spheres. So, but 1221 is the birthday of Frank Zappa. So I wanted to check in on that and tell you to, or implore you to listen to some Frank Zappa. 80, he would be 80 today. So it's Zappa 80. A couple days ago was Beethoven 250. So big music week around here. Okay, so welcome to Meatless Monday Meetup. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk a lot today, as we always do, about the idea of just one day a week, folks. Can you do that? Just one day a week, go meatless and try it out. So this show is welcoming to, I would hope, to anyone, to somebody who is a hardcore vegetarian or vegan, somebody who's on paleo. But I know about 5 or 6 people on paleo who have lost the weight. They feel real good in terms of their weight goals, but not so good with joint pains and not so good with some bowel stuff and some acid reflux stuff. Some paleo. I'm not saying everyone in paleo. Not saying that. You got to always give caveats these days before you're attacked. I'm not saying that. I'm saying a number of the people I've worked with, paleo and keto, depending on how you're doing it. So this show welcomes those folks, because if you're on keto or paleo, you can do a meatless day once a week. If you're doing a lot of your protein from flesh, you could not do it for one day. So I welcome everyone. I welcome fishitarians, pescatarians. I welcome flexitarians. That's a fun new word I've been hearing. Um, Whatever, but with a common goal. Let's start looking at the environmental impacts of what we're eating, whatever we're eating. If you're eating all frozen Amy's vegan pot pies, that's also an issue, right? With the plastic and the cardboard. So we talk about that here. So that's what the show's about. We often have guests, and that leads us to our guest, who is going to be coming in a few minutes. Let's see. Let me click over. Yeah, she'll be here in about 5 minutes, dialing in from London, where she's in. Wow, London, right? Things changed almost overnight there with this new strain of the corona. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about planet Earth, but we're mostly going to talk about her life and what she does, her creativity. It is a dear friend of mine. Her name is Stacy Thunes, and she'll be here in a few minutes. And Stacy is wow. Well, you're going to meet her in a few minutes. She is. I'm struggling for words because she's so many. A polymath. That's one of those words that was used a lot about earlier days. But one of these people that does a lot of different things. So she's a mom and an activist and a socially aware person and a writer in her professional career area, actress, writer, just movie production she's involved in. And we're going to talk about that. She's on a few current films and a TV show called Spied. Is that how you pronounce it? I was looking this up, man. Viral, huge show on Crackle Network, which is a free kind of movie TV network that I didn't know about. So she's on that. So a lot of things, but relevant to our food journey here, she's a longtime vegan. and as she terms it, 99% vegan. So, you know, that's awesome. You know, as I always say, if you're 5% vegan, come on the show. Let's talk. So she is, someone's saying they have no audio, Laura. Okay. Oh, you have it now. Okay. Yeah, folks, if it's too loud or you can't hear me or something, I depend on you to, let's see. Oh, audio's okay on Twitter. But so Stacy is currently a translator, translating German to English for a company called VEGANZ, VEGANZ or Z, if you're watching in England, or one of the many former colonies. So we're going to talk about VEGANZ. We're going to talk about her work. We're going to talk about her food journey and her film journey. Okay, so while we're setting up, as always, folks, put your questions there. I always forget, but I have a PayPal and a Venmo if you want to drop me $3 to buy a beer. You know, that's whatever you want, because this is part of my work now. So since I'm out of work because of all tours going away, excuse me, I need an what are those called? Ricola or something. My throat's still a little weird, but we're going to talk about a lot today. So please put in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch, questions for Stacy, questions for me. And we also talk about what you had for lunch today. We always kind of go real basic for those of you in East Coast time. Those of you somewhere else, what did you have for breakfast? You know, what did you have? What's coming up later in the day? You know, so we talk about food a little bit, and I always share new products. And oh, here's Stacy in the waiting room. So we're gonna bring her in, and right before we do, I want to celebrate, because we always do. I'm weird. I celebrate mainstream companies because I really feel like it's what we begged for 30 years ago. When I got into the natural foods industry in 1989, we were just yearning for, you know, why doesn't General Mills have something vegetarian? Or why doesn't this company or that company? Well, they do now. And this is remarkable. Oh, there's the focus. Look at that, huh? Now that's big, man, because there's all these other companies doing a vegan mayo. And I mean, I want those other companies to thrive, and they still will. But when a big company does it, it's like boom, right? Instant universal distribution. But more than that, the kind of food conservative mom or dad in Indiana or Arkansas or Alabama or Long Island, they're actually going to buy it now, right? They're going to go, well, my stupid daughter keeps bringing this vegan crap home, but I like Hellman's, so maybe we try it, you know? So, all right, well, that's enough of that. And ladies and gentlemen, let's bring Stacy Thunes on board. Let's make sure that, and I can hear a voice. Hey, how are you, Stacy?
Hi, I'm good.
Awesome. Welcome.
Nice to be here. Wow.
Welcome back. You know, I guess let's start with, I always start with how are you for my guests, but let's start with the story of where you are, and you know, you weren't going to be here. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, this is kind of strange. Well, I knew I was coming. I was sort of vacillating the whole time. Shall I leave Berlin and come to London? And, you know, my boyfriend is here and I didn't want him to be alone. I didn't want to be alone. And so I thought, I'll just come, you know, I'll be in quarantine for 10 days. It's fine. It's winter. We'll just be in quarantine, you know. And then all of a sudden yesterday, boom, we wake up. It's like, you can't leave even if you want to. So it's been so weird. You know, we were texting a little bit. I was texting with my brother. He's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And, you know, my agent was calling me, what's going to happen? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And then I just realized, you know, I'm not going to the airport right now because there's 150 people standing there going, right? So I'm just chilling. I'm just waiting to see what they decide. My flight is going to go out. It still says it's not canceled on the 27th. So
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. But we've got this new strain of coronavirus going on here in London, 70% more
That's
contagious than the other one.
Of course the British have to come along and do it better, right?
Oh, I've got to go get this. 1 second.
Can you imagine the British coronavirus? I say these Americans are really.
This is so funny. Okay, this was on the cover of the Evening Standard today.
Okay,
When we went out shopping, or Jeff went out shopping, he brought this newspaper back. The title, this is a foggy London,
wow.
foggy London, and the headline is "London can win final virus battle."
Shades of coronavirus uh, expert prime ministers of the past, whether
Yeah.
Going back to Churchill.
Exactly. Well, Churchill is a huge inspiration for Boris Johnson.
Of course. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
You hear, we're going to beat the virus.
Right, here it says, as cases soar and pressure grows on hospitals, a rallying call for our city. London can win the final virus battle, like it's, the Star Wars
Battle of the Bulge or something. Well, look, we've talked about this a bunch, and at the very least, that's taking damn seriously, and kind of, and which Boris has not always. He's been he's pretty waffly on it, and but we all hope the best, and but we're all watching this, and for those of my folks that are watching that don't realize what's happening is that there's a new mutated strain of this virus, and it has been mutating, but this is a very virulent one. And one other question I have on that, I have we were watching pictures and images of the train stations in London on Saturday night, when everyone said, well, if we have to, so they packed the trains. So now you have this blow up of virus, and everyone's packed in the trains like sardines, and going out to Lancashire, and going out to Liverpool, and going out to Hull, which I was watching people in those cities commenting and saying, no,
don't come here, don't go.
What's the point? If you're I heard the highways are crowded also. What's been your feeling of that? Have you been out and seen people kind of scrambling to get out?
Well, no, I'm not supposed to go out, because when I came, they said, anyway, anybody coming into England has a 10-day quarantine. So I've just been quarantining.
Very well done, Stacy.
So we've been going on walks out in the woods, which is fine, but I haven't gone out. So Jeff has gone out, and he's seen masses of people. He just went out shopping an hour ago, and there were masses of people at the Lidl there. Masses of people.
Trying to leave town still, or
no, they're shopping, hoarding. We walked by a couple as we came back from our walk who had both armfuls of toilet paper. I am not kidding you, and I still don't understand why. I don't know.
It's funny, and we'll jump into a couple of health things, but I talked about this early on, maybe on not this show, but I do some other, but the toilet paper thing. It's funny, and I had a theory about it, and I'm proud to say I looked it up, and
okay.
So toilet paper. First off, it's because we see other people hoarding toilet paper. There's a right
herd mentality. They're doing it, we do it.
So that is part of it, but part of it is when things like this are happening, we're losing control, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've lost control. Like, we can't go out, we can't do this, can't work. What do I have control over? And you think back, at least in the Western world, let's we narrow it down, and that's where people are panicking about toilet paper. They're not panicking actually in Saudi Arabia or any other places where toilet paper has a different relationship. Japan. So guess what? And psychologists have borne this out. When you what's the first thing you ever have real autonomous control? Again, as a baby, as a 2-year-old, the first thing where you're not being helped by someone.
Yeah. And you say, I did it. I pooped in the bowl. I
wipe your ass. And it's really an interesting thing.
Wow.
Right? That's the first time, mom and dad, the time they let you do it on your own. Because, of course, they help you a few times. But that time when they leave and they trust and they say, this is your private It's a natural thing. You're doing this every day. Think about it. You are in control for the first time.
Can it really be that so simple?
There is some psychologist articles about this, and sure enough, and it makes total sense, right? So toilet paper is linked to this kind of like, well, here's one thing I know, and you kind of deepen your limbic system or something. So anyway.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we saw. That's what we were saying. I haven't been to where there are a lot of people, but I have heard, like, I have a few friends, who are out and about, and they send me texts and they say, "Oh, I was just in Oxford Street and it's absolute madness." And, let's get that. There's a picture of a woman with 5 cans of this chocolate stuff, Easy Street or whatever they call it, the Cadbury's chocolate tins, they have these, and she had like 5 of them stacked up. Like, I need to get my chocolate. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's pretty nutty. Fortunately, everyone has stocked up for months now, so I hopefully,
hopefully they've got enough stock. But he went out again today because we wanted to make sure we had enough nut loaf, which we do. There was plenty of that in the store.
And how is the other thing that's quote unquote good is there's now an infrastructure for this in every major city. So how's the whole delivering food and picking?
Yeah, it's all pretty, Amazon's got it covered.
Exactly right. So you got that, and I'm sure there's things like we have DoorDash and these other things here.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that when I was in Cologne, I was shooting a movie in Cologne 2 weeks ago, and they said the only way to get food would be to do Foodora. And so I found this great, noodle bowl restaurant that did Foodora. It was the first time I ever used anything like that. And it was so efficient. I was like, wow, I kind of like this. You order it on your phone, you give them 5 stars, you pay for it, you give them a tip, everything is done. And then they bring it up to it's pretty, they got it all down here too.
Awesome.
The science. Yeah.
Well, let's start there, because I always assume here's some people who don't know who you are, and let's introduce you a bit. So let's start with right now, and then I want to talk about your food journey and going vegetarian and as a young kid, all these things. But let's start kind of in the present. Tell us a little bit. So you were just doing a movie in Cologne, and then went all to Romania. Tell us a little bit about what right now your acting world.
Okay, first of all, hi everybody. I haven't really said hello to everybody. It's so cool to be here. Thank you, Andre, for inviting me. So I've been acting since I was 11, and I've been acting since I was 11, and I've been actually working as an actress since about 10 years, which if you do the maths, you can figure out that in between there, I wasn't doing a whole lot. I was doing a whole lot of other stuff. So since I'm actually moved back to Germany in 2016, I've been working nonstop as an actor, which is amazing. In 2014, with my very good friend Lawand Omar, he's a Syrian, Iraqi, crazy person who wrote this movie called Curse of Mesopotamia, and he gave me a lead role in that, which was my first kind of going back into acting. And so we shot that in Iraq and in Jordan. And then after that, I came back to Germany, and I've been working in just various projects ever since. And it's been amazing. Just the eclectic amount of the eclectic quality of the things I've been doing has been really exciting. Like when I think, when I started out in LA, I never would have done any of this stuff. Sure. Who knows what would have happened, but so it's been really, really interesting. So yeah, I played a small part in a movie 2 weeks ago called Rabia Kurnaz versus George W. Bush.
So that was the recent one.
Okay. Yeah, that was the recent one. I played the marshal, the Supreme Court marshal in this. Was exactly. That's it. Yeah. Oh. That was a real story about this woman whose son got arrested in Afghanistan and was sent to Guantanamo Bay, and she tried to get him out for 5 years. And she took George Bush to the Supreme Court and finally got her son out. So that was super amazing. But it was great experience. So it's a German movie because it's a German story, and so the The movie was shot in Cologne. We did it on green screen because obviously we don't have a Supreme Court building there in Germany.
Oh, right. That's okay.
Yeah, so we did that on green screen. So that was a lot of fun. Alexander Scheer, he's a very, very well-known German actor. He played the lawyer who represents this woman. And yeah, it was just a fun shoot. One day, that was my first experience going back to shooting during Corona.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, 70 extras, 30 crew members, all wearing masks, of course. I got tested a few days before. I was supposed to get tested on set, but that didn't happen. But anyway, so yeah, that was interesting.
So you felt safe at the end of the day.
Totally. Yeah, and I was sitting in the car. I drove to the set with the director, and we were both wearing masks. And he was like, "I just, protection foremost." I'm sure everybody or a lot of people have heard about the meltdown that Tom Cruise had recently on set.
Right. We talked
totally understandable. After I heard that, I was like, I get it. You got hundreds and thousands of dollars riding on a day, and you cannot afford to mess it up. So that was kind of, after that shooting day, I kind of realized, yeah, you have to be super careful in these situations.
And now, what about there's a film in Romania? I know you can't say too much about that one, but
yeah, I don't know what I can say or what I can't say. Right now, obviously, it's a bit confusing because now Romania has also cut off flights from the UK, and a lot of actors are coming from the UK. So I know in a month's time it's going to be better, but yeah, this is an international production with a Romanian director. Right. And shooting in Romania, and I play the lead. One of the leads. It's like an ensemble film. Play a therapist. This is my fourth therapist that I played. I guess I have that kind of typecast thing. Anyway, yeah. So we're doing that. I'm really excited about that. January, February, March, doing that. Yeah, and I also wrote a script, as you know.
Yeah.
That I got a producer for, a whole cast. We got John Canny from South Africa, an amazing South African icon, really, who read the script and goes, "I want to do this." I was loving it. I was loving this, this person who's done so many great films, and he just loved the script. And so Pamela Nomvetti and Oris Owero, and my daughter is actually playing a part as well. By the way, today is a big celebration day because not only is this whole constellation with Jupiter and all this stuff, it's also the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Finally, after all these years, we're coming into the age of Aquarius. Yeah.
Like the one in the song. And
yes, the one like 30 years ago in the song. It's finally happening.
Oh yeah, I hate to tell you, 50 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. 1970, right? I mean.
Oh my God, that's right.
It's
been coming. It's a long time coming.
Yeah.
So I'm Aquarius. She's Aquarius.
You know that.
Yeah.
February 9th. What's your?
Oh well, I'm January 20th, like my brother. We both have the same birthday.
Right, but not twins.
He's a year older.
That's. Yeah. We were gonna ask you about your brother later, because
yeah, we can talk about my cool, awesome brother later. But anyway, so my daughter, who's also an Aquarius, she was born February 2nd. We just found out today that she got a part in a TV series, in a German TV series, 5-year contract, a lead, and I know, great Christmas present, right?
And all this today. This is incredible. And then it's Frank Zappa's birthday too.
And it's Frank Zappa's birthday. Incredible. Like the gifts just keep pouring down on us.
Age of Aquarius. So, okay. So again, understanding that means that our solar system has moved into that constellation, something like that, right?
I mean, I'm not a big astrology person, but I was just told, I just got sent a couple texts from some of my super spiritual friends. They were like, it's Aquarius now. My cousin Pam, she sent me one. It's Aquarius now. I was like, finally.
It's a heavy. So let's see some positive change. Okay, and we're futurists, right? We're always like,
yeah.
How can we? And I call this show plant-based futurism, vegan futurism. I'm very into this concept, Afro. So that it's good. Thank you for telling me that, because that just amplifies all that. So okay, so that's a good catch up for people. You just finished the movie. We just saw it up there. I put the link, so people should check that out.
Yes, thank you.
Now online somewhere? Is it
Well, it's not having even finished filming. They're shooting in Turkey next year, so it probably won't come out until next fall or something like that.
all right, and that's the one called. Say the name again. That's the
Rabia Kurnaz versus George W. Bush.
Got it. Rabia. Okay,
yeah.
So people can look out for that. There's another movie that you'll report to the world down the road. Romania, beautiful Romania, and then tell us a little bit about the Mesopotamia film.
Oh man, that's online. You can catch that online. It was an amazing experience. We actually started shooting August 2014 in Iraq, in Erbil, and we got maybe a week into shooting when ISIS came into Mosul.
Okay, wow.
And that was pretty, there it is. It was pretty intense. We had to stop shooting and we had to leave, actually. We all had to disperse. So we all kind of went different directions.
Hardcore.
It was pretty hardcore. There was in the elevator, I remember we were all a little bit punchy, going, oh my God, we got terrorists right down the road and we're trying to do this movie. And there was a guy in the elevator who was looking at us like, what are you guys? Who the hell are you guys? And then we went down to the restaurant and we were looking at the TV, CNN, and there was a reporter on there and he was like, I am in Mosul right now. And that was the same guy who was in the elevator with us. We were like, oh my God, he was just in the elevator. And we're all laughing and, making jokes. And he's just come from this horrendous sort of, it was so bizarre. And then the next morning before we left, we were in the restaurant having breakfast, and there were all these Dutch and American oil people from Shell.
Okay.
With these Saudi sheiks, and I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty. So that was the first time that my eyes got really open to what's going on there in the Middle East, and what.
What year was that again? Sorry,
that was 2014. That was August 2014.
Okay, so the last couple of years of Obama administration. Okay, yeah, I remember we were texting or I haven't seen you in person since, was it the Yes show? You came to see Yes?
That's right. That was Yes. Belle and I came to see Yes in Berlin.
Berlin, right?
Yeah.
And when was that? About because this movie came up, so maybe it was about 15.
I think it was 16. Yeah, 16 maybe. I think it was because after we shot in Jordan, I moved. So after when we were finished, February to March 2015.
So that was but I remember it was new for you then, and
yeah. It just it was kind of taken over my whole life. That whole, because we started it and then we had to stop and then we had to go back and do it again. But we finished it. We actually finished it, and it was a trip.
So where can one watch that? I'm looking around here to tell people. I see it's
on Vimeo. You can rent it on Vimeo.
Okay.
In fact, I just rented it the other night because I wanted to remind myself and bought it for a friend because he wanted to see it. And so, so you can see it on Vimeo. It's got some great shots of the old citadel, the thousands of year old citadel in Erbil in Iraq, and some great shots in Jordan. And
well, that's the thing. And I did watch the trailer way back when you told me some other time after. Stunning, exactly, and that's what you've been. So fortunate to be in these beautiful parts of the world.
I know. Oh my God.
Films, and Romania.
I'm lucky. I consider myself extremely lucky. Yeah.
Great. So we're gonna jump back to movies, and we're gonna come back. I want to hear about, how do you pronounce it? Spides or
Spides? Oh yeah, spides.
So come back to that. Yeah, and. Sorry, like spiders, right?
Right.
So we'll come back to that and we'll look at a clip or two, but let's jump back to some food. Let's talk about food.
Yes, my favorite subject.
Yeah. awesome. So let's start with it's whatever time it is there, right? 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night.
8:30. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit what your vegan in London day has been like. What's a typical? What do you have? What do you enjoy? What are your
Okay. So my breakfast is fruit with nuts. Love this. And I just started doing some soy yogurt because I think the yogurt is a good thing. So I do fruit and nuts and yogurt. And usually I'll have hummus, olives, something like that, pita bread. I'm trying to stay away from the bread stuff. So I'll have some crisps, as they call them here, you know, potato chips. And for dinner, we just had a nut loaf and a ton of vegetables, Brussels, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. Perfect. And I'm happy. And then, of course, we had a little bit of Prosecco earlier this evening to celebrate my daughter's new job. And I'm drinking now my ginger tea that I have every night. So that's kind of my typical vegan day.
Okay, that's awesome. You know, it's great. And what I always try to remind people, and I have some couple chef friends on here, my chef friend Laura Darty, and what we always talk about is let's hear vegetables in there somewhere. You know, that's overlooked. You know, people don't. They. It's fun that all these products exist and you can buy this and you can buy that. But I love that you began and ended with fruit, nuts, vegetables. You know, it's got to be the backbone, right? And so
yeah, exactly. And the nut loaf is only because it's the holidays. I would never eat a nut loaf. I wouldn't unless I made it myself, but I never do that because it's too complicated.
Right.
I think the food in its purest form is the best because then you can taste it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, and I'm all for these great new products. It's just let's surround them with some real stuff. And yeah,
exactly. I mean, a potato chip dipped in Hellman's vegan mayonnaise. Yes.
Awesome. You saw that?
Yes, I did. Or an artichoke with Hellman. Amazing. Why not?
So Robin, who hopefully will stop, I think she did stop in and say hi. Robin and I were just talking about this, that it looks like it's in England first. So have you seen this on shelves, or you haven't been shopping? But
no, I haven't been shopping. I want to go. I would love to be able to go. I would love to be able to go to the market and just check out. You know, my sister-in-law, Georgia, my brother's amazingly beautiful wife, she does product branding. And so she's always asking me, can you go, like she'll send me a text and she'll go, can you go to the supermarket and see what kind of vegan products or vegetarian products or what kind of products, what their labels look like and stuff. So I love doing that. And I love going to, especially in England, because they love food and they've got all kinds of different kind of vegan cheeses and things like that. So
amazing. So I was just digging this up to show folks who just arrived. So this
amazing.
This is news today, folks. And I haven't been talking enough about this, but there's a thing called Veganuary, which is just again a very an advocacy time to kind of tell people, because people do a lot of New Year resolutions and stuff. Hey, go vegan for a month. Try it out. What's the big deal? And so Veganuary, there's a website and everything. People can go look. But that's an exciting thing. And so this is brand new.
That is cool. And today, in this same Evening Standard that I showed you, there's an article called "Celebrities Rooting for Veganuary to Combat New Rise in Meat Sales."
That's great.
It says here, Friends of the Earth and Greenpeace have written an open letter signed by celebrities, including Sir Paul McCartney, Ricky Gervais, Lily Cole, and Alan Cumming, calling for people to change their diet for Veganuary next month. So there's a whole article on this in the paper. It's very, very big in England. 350,000 last year took part, and they're hoping for 500,000 this year.
I love it. And you know, and we've talked about that on the show a couple of times. As we've talked about, I'm an Anglophile and I was born in British Guyana, so I have relatives there and stuff. So I pay attention. And one thing, it's been 30 years because the mad cow situation in 91, 92, that's really what just blew it up in England, because they destroyed all of the cattle supply. They millions of cows. And so English people, the most hardcore English beef lover, had a little window of time of going, I'm not going to. And so from what I understand, that's when it blew up. And you're right. You go to English supermarkets and stores are the best, I think. And I've been 5 continents. No one touches it for quantity of choice. And I really love what they put on the label. They say suitable for vegetarians, right? And to me, that's great because that's subtle because it doesn't scare off the meat eaters as much.
Right. It's not like, I know what you mean.
I find if something says, vegan soup, we all have we have friends who, well, I'm not vegan, and you're like, dude, it's fucking spicy tomatoes. Why would you eat that? Well, it says vegan, so there's that whole psychological.
Yeah, exactly.
In England, suitable for vegan, I love it. On that note, let's go over a little bit to where you live and spend a lot of time. Germany. Tell us a little bit about vegetarian, vegan life, and then we'll talk about VEGANZ, who you work with.
Yeah. Okay. So being vegan in Berlin is great. Of course, because of VEGANZ, also a reason VEGANZ we'll talk about later, but it is super easy to be vegan in Germany, which most people wouldn't believe. And you would go like Germany. I mean, okay, when I moved there 33 years ago, I had to stop being vegetarian because there was no way my husband at the time was going to not eat meat. And I was, cooking. And we were in Germany and there was, so that was the first year and a half. And there was just, I went back to just being a person who ate meat and didn't even think about it. And then when the wall came down, when the Berlin Wall came down, we moved to East Germany, and you can forget about it. There was one type of lettuce, for a long time. And being, vegetarian was just almost impossible. It was almost impossible. And so, we basically just had a kind of a normal eating pattern, for a long time. And then when I left for England in 2005, and then I was married to a vegetarian. Actually, in fact, he was mostly non-meat eating. He would have salmon once a week. So we basically, which was great, Bella and I just sort of got into this no meat, and that's when my daughter really went vegetarian or pescatarian, she called herself. She stopped eating meat altogether at that point. Yeah. And I was just kind of shifting and everything. But after like 2010, Germany just blew up with all of this vegan stuff, vegetarian, vegan. It was just because of the influx, I think, of foreigners, a lot of Americans, a lot of English, a lot of New Zealanders, a lot of not Australian, a lot of people.
Auslander.
Auslander, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Turks and Moroccans and
yeah, and they eat anyway. They eat a lot of, they eat the donors, and they have all that the Greeks, they have a lot of meat, but still you get a lot of that Eastern, influence with the hummus and the, all that stuff, olives, and so it's really, really big change there after. Yeah.
I put VEGANZ.com so people can see that. And I love that you said that, because my first trip to Germany, I met you. My first trip to Germany, we all came for Zappanale, 2012, and so
oh yeah,
everyone was there. The mothers and Scott was there, and Candy Zappa, Bobby Zappa, really great time. And but I remember people going, "Oh my God, you're gonna Germany! It's just sausages." And I got there and it was fine. I mean, and we were, of course, you're artists, so they're taking care of you. They'll get you anything. But I really, one thing I noticed, and you and I've talked about this too, it comes down to what type of vegetarian you are, because some people are just packaged food vegetarians.
Yeah.
But if you're like you and me and our families and people, and you love good breads and olives and sun-dried tomatoes, and you love plums and fruits and apples, and, if you love the actual stuff, easy, right? Because you just go
to
but I've literally been there with other vegetarians, and you run into them 2 days into Zappanale, and they're glum, and you're like, I can't find anything, and you're going, what are you talking about? Because they don't actually like all those things.
Yes. Yeah.
So VEGANZ, tell us a little bit about that company and what. I'll pull it up, but tell us a little bit about that company.
Yeah, that company is really amazing. So the guy who started it, his name is Jan Becca.
Okay.
I can't remember. My memory is. He worked for Mercedes. He was an engineer, worked for Mercedes-Benz, and yeah, and he was like, I don't feel good. I'm not healthy. I want to change my life. I don't want to work for Mercedes anymore. And he started in 2011. He started just a really tiny brand of vegan foods. And that was in Berlin, 2011. And he had one store. It was in Prenzlauer Berg. You know, this is 10 years after the wall came down, 11 years, something like that. And people were starting to accept it. It was still a bit weird, you know, but he started it up. And then it just kind of, you know, in that time from 2011 until about 2 years ago, it boomed. And he had, you know, 3 stores in Berlin and 120 products, all made by them, mostly sweets, I have to say, at the beginning, you know, cookies and things like that. But now they've got salmon alternatives, like smoked salmon, cheeses. They've got a thing called cashew bear, which is a camembert substitute. And they're just booming all over Europe now. The shops are just all over the place. So I do their translations.
I love it.
Their social media and their website and all of that stuff. I do, yeah. So I learn a lot about statistics. They did a big survey on European eating habits. Germans are the most vegan of all Europeans.
Let's stop for a second.
Can you believe that?
Well, I can, but please say that sentence again for our.
According to the VEGANZ nutritional survey that they did this year, Germans are the most vegan of all Europeans.
You know, talk about age of Aquarius. Talk about
right.
Comes together. Talk about a massive evolutionary change, a planetary change, and this is, I'll never forget finding that out on this day, Stacy, that we are literally shifting, and this is where astrology and astronomy collide. Without getting into astrology and all that, and I'm bemused by it. It doesn't. I'm not like, yes, it's all factual. It's interesting. Because you do have those times where you're like, oh my God, these characteristics of a Pisces, whatever. But what's interesting is there's science that we are in these positions in space, and I love that you told me that we are moving into this galactic position, and to hear things like that reinforce that. You know what you're saying reinforces that we're in a time of change, and it's taken years. You've seen it. You said you went there 30 years ago, and now you're seeing it. Snow be part of it. Wow, that's stunning statistic. But you know, it rings true. You know, I've been on tour many times in Germany, and it's never a problem. And I remember one time we stopped at a truck stop in Bavaria, and it was like in the middle of very rural. And I had already been in Germany for a while and thought food's great here. But we're at this truck stop, and I said, well, this might not go so well, you know, even though it had been. And we go in, and they had the most incredible salad bar, little truck stop, and a vegan mushroom soup in a truck stop in Bavaria. Now,
wow.
Of course they had the sausages. Of course they had the other. No one's saying Germans don't eat these things.
Of course, yeah.
But the message here is, unlike, unfortunately, Americans, you got to start including some vegetables. Yes. Go ahead and have your steak, have your lamb, have your buffalo, whatever. Get it cleaner and better, but start eating these fruits and vegetables. So VEGANZ, so you're doing social media. Are you doing some packaging, translating?
I did last summer. I worked. It was funny. My daughter was doing a movie in Cornwall, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to join you and have a vacation." And the day I got there, I got a call from them and said, "Can you translate our entire product line, ingredient and package labels?" So I was like working 8 hours a day, furiously doing that for 4 weeks, getting those up. Yeah. So I did all that. So I learned so much about what's in those products, what's in their packaging, how their packaging is made, how, you know, to prepare things, where all their ingredients come from, what they're doing to try and improve their ingredients. I mean, I just was bombarded with all this amazing information. So I kind of felt a little bit like, wow, I know so much and more than I actually wanted to, because I don't want to be that person that's sitting across from someone going, well, you know, what you're eating is, you know, it's like, right.
Yes. And that's the maturity of right. We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
So Cornwall, is that in Wales? Is that?
No, that's south of England, southwest England. Yeah. So it was a great place to just, you know, beautiful nature, and just to have this sort of this job where I know I'm doing something, creating value with this job, you know, getting this information to people and being able to tell people, you know, I'm not just some militant vegan. I know that there are positive things about these products, you know, that's it's valuable for us to know, you know, to make a choice, to make a choice about what we want to put in our body, you know.
Beautifully put. And no, it's about that little change. And I really try to stress that every week, and try to, because there's lots of militant vegetarians. There's lots of in your face.
Yes.
They throw blood. They do this. And, you know, I'm 55. I've been vegan since I was vegetarian since I was 19. And,
Wow.
you know, I never was there, but I was certainly closer to it when I was 20. I would hand you a pamphlet, and I would kind of, but I'm happy to say I never kind of was one of those like pointing at your burger and saying, you're going to, I just, so, but I really, really try to balance it today and tell people that what you said, it's about packaging and the environment and ingredients and trying to improve. Jumping back to England for just a second, is that where the Cornish pasties are from?
Yes, and they even have a vegan pasty, of course.
Oh, I
Greg's, the fast food, you know, the fast food chain here in England. They have a sausage roll, you know, the famous sausage rolls. They have a vegan sausage roll. Also, they introduced a couple of years ago. So there are a lot of these fast food companies that are, you know,
incredible. You know, they're Greg's is great. I've had their stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the things, again, people, what you said before, that should be a T-shirt about Germans and vegans. And I'm going to go to some questions here next. But let's pull that up just so people see what a pasty looks like. If you don't, that's their vegan steak bake. This is Greg's. So obviously they're using some of that kind of Beyond Beef kind of stuff. It's either soy or seitan or something. But the point is, folks, companies are listening. They're changing, especially overseas. You know, Starbucks is doing Beyond Pork all throughout their Asian location.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Okay, so let's look at VEGANZ for a minute. And here we go. VEGANZ. This is cool. So they have all kinds of things. They have sweet.
Oh, I just translated this like 4 days ago. This whole thing, this newbie, vegan pro, and planet lover. That's so cute. I just did that.
There we go, folks. Real time. Again, if you're just tuning in, you know, I put it in text so people know, but we're talking to my dear friend Stacy Thunes, who is I introduced you as a polymath earlier because I think
I like that word. I like that.
You don't use that in because you do so many things, but this is one thing she does. We talked a little about her acting career, and we're going to come back to that. But she is the German to English translator for this company. Look at this. They have vegan cheeses and there's a nice Christmas treat.
They do a duck. They do a pulled duck thing now.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm all for it, you know, because if people can get the texture and the fat profile and the umami. The funny thing, because some meat eaters push back and they frown at that, but you know, there's chicken sausages, there's turkey sausages. We have changed ingredients before, folks. You know.
Yeah. Did you hear about, okay, so a few months ago, this is also something that I learned through VEGANZ, the European Union wanted to ban, or somebody wanted to ban the use of meat alternatives.
Saw that.
Right? You can't say soy milk. They didn't want you to say soy milk.
I saw that. Here too, yeah.
So what are you going to call it? Soy liquid?
Soy beverage or something. You know,
soy drink.
No, I did see that, and I think it ultimately didn't work, right?
It did not work. Thankfully, it did not work because they wanted to call like a vegan sausage, they wanted to call a vegan tuber.
Tuber. That's already used. We could play the same game. That's already, that's already been used. Look, the we just take a deep breath and just keep trying to educate. And one of the things that I have pointed out before, and I'll pull this up for people, this is not new. Look at this. The 1300s chefs were
Wow.
almond milk. Did you know that?
What? No, that's awesome.
Because you couldn't always get dairy. If dairy was a dear product and seasonal. And so I'll drop this article for people, but they talk about it in Salerno in the 12th century, talking about almond milk. Leonardo da Vinci, who was vegetarian, was making like a chickpea milk and an almond milk out of these. So, old stuff, folks. This is not new. And Stacy, you're just part of the modern version of it with VEGANZ and tell us a little bit more about some of your favorite foods. Then you said a lot of fruits and vegetables. When you're in Germany, like what, like Thai food, Turkish food, German food, like what's fun to find there?
Well, you can find just about a vegan or vegetarian version of just about everything now anywhere. But like I said, I'm a real pure food eater, so I don't go out and I don't buy processed foods. I'm usually eating something really simple. But I do love Thai food. Because I love the purity of Thai food. The coriander, or cilantro, or and I have to have soy sauce in my house, or tamari sauce. That is like my spice. I put it on salad. I put it on everything because it's just so potent in flavor. And I think that when you stop eating processed foods for a while, you are able to taste the food better.
Absolutely. Totally agreed. And tamari, I do a thing here once in a while where I talk about vegan staples for your pantry. I have a lot of beginner people who ask, which folks, I am going to get to your questions. I have a lot of people ask, well, what do I? And I say, look, olive oil, tahini, tamari, some seeds, pumpkin,
sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, can't do without pumpkin seeds.
Yeah,
into all the seeds, all the seeds.
Yeah, almonds, walnuts, have a few basic things, and tempeh, tofu. So that's awesome. But Thai food, you're
Thai food's the best. Thai food is, I love it.
so good. And you raise a great point. It is so, you look at it and there it is. You see a red pepper, a carrot, you see some coriander, there's coconut milk, you see an onion. You really know that you're having it, and you've made it at home very quick and easy.
Exactly.
We've been doing some very nice Thai coconut soups here, and so fast, Okay, so let me go to some questions.
Right on.
Let's see what people think. And while I'm pulling that up, I wanted to say again, VEGANZ, and I have our dear friend Sabina Janzon is here. Did I say your name wrong, Sabina? I never say her last name right, but she's German, and you may have met her. We met her because she works at Zappanale.
Oh, okay. I probably did then. 2012. Yeah.
Sabina, were you there in 2012? Let us know. But she's great because she's a naturalist and she puts up pictures of growing her own food on her in her house. And so she answers to this a lot too. She says, wow, it's really changing here in Germany as I've grown up. So I'm going to see some questions. Happy Solstice. Some people are being inspired to go shopping.
Woo!
Great. Hey, Antoine, one of my students is here. Laura says, I look well rested. Yeah, I kind of, I was on the Hunter S. Thompson sleeping program, which is, up till 6 a.m. I was watching The Mandalorian at 6 a.m. and slept till whenever. But thank you. Finally rested. Okay, folks, give me any questions here for Stacy. A lot of people, someone's soaking some beans.
Nice.
Chili. Did I mention birthday? Yes, I mentioned Frank Zappa's birthday. Let's see. Someone had a raw pear today. Yes, the vegan mayos. Yes, this is all very exciting news. And also, yeah, people are saying England, indeed, really great food over there.
Mm.
Okay, so no actual questions yet. Jason's excited that there's Hellman's vegan mayo. Yes, that's really a big deal. Oh, Sabina's asking, oh, Stacy, have you had a Voner in Berlin? That sounds like it's a vegetarian donor.
Oh, yes, I have a
Yeah.
donor. Yeah. I love those. Late night, I gotta have something to eat.
Oh,
They're brilliant.
and
And then but you got to be careful that you don't get the yogurt sauce. You have to make
yeah,
sure you get the.
she's also confirming that she has seen your brand
Okay.
in Rostock out by.
Excellent. Yeah.
That's really getting out there.
Mhm.
The funny part is, and we're both very political and we talk about stuff all the time, but I can't help but for any of my friends who I have a couple of right-wing friends, maybe one or two of them on here right now. But what a story. So you have a guy from Mercedes-Benz, one of those failed German companies like Saab or Aldi or Adidas, because of course in socialism, no one ever succeeds or gets rich or anything.
Right.
But then he has an entrepreneurial idea and says, I want to move my accrued wealth and start a new company for positive reasons, which again, this insane right-wing narrative over here is that all those countries are failures and no one makes money. And when I'm over there, all I see is great ideas, high tech. I see, all kinds of things being produced. And this again proves it. Tell us a little bit of, about that, about just the spirit of entrepreneurship and what do you encounter in that area over there?
Yeah, it's funny because when I first moved to Germany, I thought, oh, this is it's so traditional, it's so, boring. You can't do anything unless you've got, a degree in something. And in America, all the dreamers are there and all the innovators in there. But it has really shifted. It's turned around because a lot of people left America and went to. There's so many. Sometimes you're walking down the street in Berlin, you don't hear German-speaking people. So there's a lot of innovators there. There's a lot of people doing a lot of amazing stuff. Yeah. And so they're not afraid to take chances anymore,
Sure. And so that even sounds like there's an injection of the innovator type Americans who realized, well, for some reason, I can't get it done here in America. Let me go to Germany. So that's interesting. So that's hybrid almost.
Yeah.
American attitude, which surely some Germans had. I mean, they did pretty well before we started going there. They started, some major industries. But that's a very interesting point. So you have Americans who, for some reason, leave, with their ideas, So do you know some Americans that have businesses over there?
I don't know a lot of Americans. I know a lot of English people and a lot of, just other Europeans and other, New Zealand and things like that. But not a lot of Americans. Americans are still a little bit American.
Okay, when they go there, there. Work there, right?
They go to work there, and I don't see a lot I don't see a lot from Americans, but I do from British and other people. And I think that a lot of Germans have gotten motivated by the American entrepreneurship and gotten out of that box thinking. I translated a book last year, a little book from this woman who did a little startup. She was like in her early 30s. And she broke away from this great job she had and, security, which is always very important for Germans. And she broke away from that and she started her own startup. And now she's got 200 people working for her all over the world. Wow. And she's reached all of her financial goals. And it's just about, just consulting. It's a consulting company. It's not a big deal, but she just had an idea and so it's not like it used to be. I mean, I would never, like I said, I never would have had the opportunities as an actress or a writer or a translator in LA that I've had here. Never. So there's a whole, and plus we have in Germany the whole aspect of the wall coming down and all this opening up, right? This new ideas and all of that stuff for, you know, so that's something that only happens once in a
Yeah.
lifetime, right?
No, that's fascinating, and what a great way to make clarify that you have this kind of combination of American thought, but here's where it could thrive, which really shows us that that's the stuff we got to fix here in America. Some of the stuff and some of the safety net stuff, and some, you know, that's awesome. So let's go back to questions. An app. Okay, yeah, Fuji. There's an app that you can look at the sky. Again, we're going to see Jupiter and Saturn.
Yeah, we won't be able to see that here, unfortunately, because in London it's completely cloudy and rainy.
Sabina, reporting in Germany, still says every restaurant in Germany has vegetarian dishes.
Yeah,
Vegan or vegan dishes are on there even more often now too. Especially hip places have both and some meat. Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
English food has gotten so much better. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Someone says Hitler was vegetarian. Of course, Bassam's always trolling. That's funny. Well, you know, once a day, you got to bring this up. And, you know, look, Hitler, first of all, yeah, he tried it for, I think it was 3 months or something. He tried a sausage diet. He tried a vitamin diet where he was taking all these vitamins. But people, that's always a funny thing because this guy's kidding. But you do have that where people, that's their way to discount it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay,
he was also a massive drug addict, and if you're interested, there's a book called Blitzed,
okay.
by a guy named Norman Ohler, who talks about all of the drug cocktail that
Right.
Hitler took. He had a private doctor who would shoot him with all kinds of mainly animal product, you know, infusions that he concocted, and you know, the crystal meth that everybody was addicted to. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing, but anyway, he was definitely nowhere near being a vegetarian at all.
Not spiritual or anything.
Yeah.
But our leader took a cocktail too, the monoclonal antibodies, but totally different. Let's see. So Sabina says yes. So you have met, because she was at Zeppinali 2012, and the catering was vegan all the time that she was there. Yeah, it was. That was awesome, right? When we went to catering and like, oh my God, wait a minute. And they did have some meat later on, I think, but it was separate. So that's pretty cool. Okay, great. So that catches up on questions. Tell us a little bit of the beginning, the Genesis kind of moment for you. Like, what age, and when did you go, wait a minute, I do not want to eat flesh? Take us back to what got you into this.
Okay, I think it's been just a process, a real opening. Every moment, every different era was a step towards where I am now. So of course, the early years were just like you ate whatever your parents put on on the table, right? And then when I was 11, my mom got sick. She got cancer. And I don't know how she got the idea, because this was in the 70s and nobody was really talking about it, but she decided to change her diet. So we went from ho-hos and Twinkies to eating, you know, whole wheat bread and getting bananas in our lunchbox, you know. But that sort of started okay, there's a correlation between food and health. So that was the first thing, you know, that I noticed. And then when she died and I went off on my own, I became macrobiotic, because I read some book, because I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling tired all the time. I think in the early 80s, there was this whole thing about candida and hypoglycemia. Do you remember this kind of?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. And there were books written about it. If you're feeling tired, then you're probably eating too much of this, blah, blah, blah. So I said, I'm going to go on a macrobiotic diet. And at that time, it was really cool, because I was in New York City and there was a restaurant there that served macrobiotic food. And we're talking about sesame and tahini and root vegetables and nothing else.
Sue-Ann? Was it Sue-Ann or?
Yeah, it was started with, I don't remember maybe it was that. I don't know. Anyway, it was a great restaurant. It was in Lower East Side where I was working. So I would go and eat there. And then I would go to Knickerbocker's, which is a steakhouse, a jazz club steakhouse in the East Village. So I would go and work there in the evening and eat macrobiotic during the day. Anyway, it was fantastic. And that kind of changed my whole thinking about health. and food. And so I continued to be vegetarian for many, many years until I moved to Germany. And
Married.
then it switched. Yeah. And then it kind of switched. And then I didn't think about it at all. And then when we moved to England and we started eating less meat. And so, and it really wasn't until 2016 when I was living back in Marin County, where I grew up. And my daughter called me. She was in London. She goes, "Mom, you have to watch Cowspiracy." So she basically went from eating a little bit of fish and cheese and things like that to just full on vegan after seeing that movie.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I said, "Oh, I'm scared," because I know the minute I see that, I'm not going to want to eat anything living ever again, which was the case.
Wow.
In fact, I remember I was leaving Marin, I was coming back to Germany, and I said, "I'm going to go to In-N-Out Burger and I'm going to have one more burger." And I remember going there and I couldn't do it. I ordered the vegan burger and it was a bun with lettuce and tomato.
Well, yes, at 1 year, that for a while, that's all it was, right? Yeah.
So yeah, so for me, as opposed to food and health, in that moment after seeing that movie, it
Right.
went from my relationship to other living beings.
Wow. Okay.
And then it was a whole different ball game, so to speak, for me. It was completely different. I was concerned about the well-being of other living beings. And I thought, wow, it's taken you this long.
Click in.
Yeah. And strangely enough, I mean, I guess I was just in survival mode, basically. But I mean, I've been practicing Buddhism for 33 years, and in there, you know, there's different branches of Buddhism, and some Buddhists are complete vegetarians, some aren't, some are, and so the Buddhism that I practice is not really, we don't have any rules. Basically, cause and effect. You do what you feel is, you know. But there's a prayer. There's a silent prayer in our practice that says, "I pray for the happiness and well-being of all living beings." And when I put those two together, I thought, well, now that I know what's happening with these other living beings, I can't base my happiness on their unhappiness. So it was totally easy for me from one day to the next to just give it up.
Yeah.
No question in my mind ever at all after that. It was easy. But
Yeah.
what I want to say about that before you comment, because I know it's a real touchy thing. People don't check really the environment. It's kind of far away. You know, I'm used to eating my meat. I don't want to change my habits. But when we start thinking about other people and other living beings, then for me, it's a whole different thing. I can find something healthy to eat without having to eat somebody else, you know? And so that's basically my journey. So from then on, so since 4 years, I have had no issue at all whatsoever with not eating any dairy, cheese, eggs, meat. And I say vegan 99% because I have had eggs and I do eat salmon very rarely, but once in a while. So
I love it. Yeah. And I say here on the show all the time, eggs are really an awesome food. And I encourage people, if you have them in your backyard or you get them locally, as we've talked about, and as you're touching on, it's about the supply chain. It's about driving stuff across the country, you know, broccoli or something. But meat or animal production is number one. It's the one with the water usage, with the energy usage, with the land usage, with the rainforest. It's far, far, far and away. And people should look up, you know, you look at almond farming, and that uses a lot of water. Dwarfed by the pork.
Yeah.
So that's a great thank you for that history that you took us through, like a 30-year journey. Which is beautiful. Tell us, or even 40. I'm always interested in the moment. So you went to Germany, you got married, started eating meat. Was it immediately kind of organic, better quality? Was it? I mean, you know, tell me about that kind of. Did you kind of match the two and say, well, look, I'm going to start eating meat, so I'm going to, or did that not even happen? Tell us.
I couldn't even think about that. We were in a place where, we were living in the former East Germany that was just building itself up. So it was all basically local anyway. It wasn't, it wasn't, we're not talking about foster farms here. We're talking about, we've got a farm 10 miles away that's packed, so it was a little bit different. In Germany, it was a little bit different. I don't know if Sabina can corroborate with that, but it's a lot of local stuff.
Exactly. Which, again, that's what we salute. Like, at the very least, I say it all the time. If you're gonna eat, it's about the locality. Yeah. So okay. So in Germany, and I find that too when I go to Germany, or I've played in Romania, Bulgaria, everything feels not imported.
It feels a little bit more, like you're just in the place, and everybody's in that place eating. It still doesn't excuse the fact that the animals are being slaughtered 10 miles away.
No, but yeah, you get and it's funny. I'm sure you've seen this. There's almost an apologetic thing when you're in Hungary and all this place. They bring you stuff and they're like, "It's all we have," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Look, thank you." No, but again, sometimes they're used to these vegans and vegetarians who only want like some American-looking food. Tell us how things have changed on the set, because since you've been making films, which is many years, have you seen an
Oh yeah, especially on Spides. I remember on Spides they were like, "Please leave the vegan meals for the vegans," but they were so delicious that everybody was, eating. And you'd get there and it would be like there'd just be a little bit. So they had to really tell everybody, we've got people who have, registered as vegan. So yeah, the catering is super healthy. We had on set, we had fresh ginger tea, like with ginger, not tea bags, but fresh ginger all night, because we were doing night shoots in the middle of winter. So there was always ginger tea. It was we had our own cups with the name of the production on there and stuff like that. So they're doing their best to make it as, friendly as possible. So that's very cool. That's very cool.
And you can notice the change from 2010 to 2005. You've seen.
Yeah. They have now the green rider. That's they're they have to do it. They have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's recognized. Everybody is realizing it is a problem. The environment is a problem, and the best way to combat that is cut down on your garbage and eat plant-based foods.
Absolutely. And Robin's sister is a location scout, and she
I love it. Great job.
She does in Florida. So she does it. She's done a million movies and many years Burn Notice. She did that. And movie after movie after movie. And it's a lot of fun because we just get a random text, hanging out with Paul Giamatti yesterday. What's really remarkable, and she's recently become plant-based, and she sent us with great excitement some pictures the other day from the set, and they had, first off, a whole bunch of vegan food, but they had, I think it was 4 or 5 garbage, paper, glass, this, that, but also composting. And she said, "Oh my God, all my years in the industry, I've never realized how much food waste we throw away."
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
We had a couple of discussions, and she said over the course of 10 days that she was on this set, she just said, "My mind is blown," because when I realize what 10 days would normally be, just everything going into one bag and then off to so that's the other level that I hope America keeps adopting, that you see.
Yes, that would be really good. Yeah.
Where you are in Germany, do they collect compost?
Oh yeah, that's my biggest. I'm taking my compost down more than I'm taking any other garbage down. They have a brown bin for compost. They have for glass. They have for plastic. Yeah, compost is really amazing that you can do that in your house, in your apartment complex. It's fantastic.
And to be clear for our viewers here, this is in a city. This is in Berlin, and we're talking about food waste, compostable, organic.
Yes. Yeah.
And none of it goes into the the stream with the paper and the glass. I mean, come on, America, we gotta, when you
Right?
mega tons of garbage, we compost here. I have not been involved in putting food in the waste stream in 30 some years. Nothing. We throw no food ever into the garbage stream. 0%.
Wow.
Walk
Wow.
around, everything that's, lettuce,
Yeah.
apple, same as you. I'm just saying
Yeah.
this for the benefit of American friends, that you can do it. Just go buy one of these composting bins. If you, we just have a pile and a mound of soil, and we put grass, and we work with it. But folks should find out about this, because it's so much waste, and places like Berlin, where Stacy's talking about, prove that you can do this. So I put the movie up there. Thank you. I put the movie of Cowspiracy. People can watch that. And let's see, any oh, great question, Sabina. I'll get to that question in a second. We were just talking about that. Sabina says, in East Germany, the food was always much more natural. Yeah. It's a rural or simpler world. The Indian not that developed, and she says she remembers the food quality went down and got much more industrial and chemical after the wall. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And remembers having only homogenized milk in bottles. I guess as a young person, meat was only wrapped in paper, no plastic. Everyone grew their own vegetables. So yeah, there's a trade-off. I had a Nigerian guest on, the wonderful man, Hakeem, who owns a vegan restaurant in Nigeria. But he said the same thing. He said, as the Nigerian economy gets bigger and bigger, all these people that were eating garden food, root vegetables, rice, vegetables, they're suddenly going towards more processed stuff. So
okay.
So let's talk a little bit about this show, Spides. Tell us about that.
Spides is awesome.
Reading about it.
Yes, Spides is the brainchild of Rainer Matsutani, who's a German filmmaker, half Japanese filmmaker in Berlin, whom I met. Oh, I haven't seen Crackle because we can't get it over here, but
I have the power to lower my blood sugar.
Okay.
That's
coming through.
Oh, fruits and vegetables. Look at that.
You're making me watch an ad first, but oh, so you don't get Crackle in
No, we don't get Crackle.
Okay,
we don't get Crackle, yeah.
Okay, so talk over it, yeah, because the sound's off.
Okay, so I met Rainer at the Berlin Film Festival in 2016, and he was like, "Oh, I'm developing this show, and I may need a translator. It's a science fiction show based in Berlin with an international cast, and our scripts are in German, so I need an English translator." And he hired me to do that, and but they hadn't sold it yet. They hadn't, gotten any funding. They were just trying to sell it. And so that kept me busy for quite a while, those translations. And then they got NBC Universal and Sci-Fi Channel involved. And yeah, so we shot that in over 6 weeks in Berlin a couple of years ago with an international cast, with Florence Kazumba and a bunch of other international actors. And yeah, so it ran on Sci-Fi Channel, on Sky Channel for it started in February, and it was okay, it was well received, but it wasn't like a huge hit. And then Crackle bought it. Crackle said they would show it, and we got, within like 3 weeks, we got over 1 million viewers.
Okay, that's
amazing for a crazy little sci-fi thing that was actually just directed towards a young audience. But yeah, we had great science. We had great special effects. I played a police officer, not a psychologist this time, but a police officer. And
we love a woman in uniform.
Well, I was the boss. I wasn't wearing it.
Okay. So, but we'll watch it anyway. But here's, I just want to comment on this. Let me see. Yeah, these bastards. Do you notice I'm going back and
unbelievable?
Just comment on that for a second. You notice that ad went on forever?
Yes.
This is happening in the background. I hate these stupid ads, but this is a 2-hour conversation, which it won't be. But I want people to think about what was just happening there. I was clicking away so we wouldn't see the annoying ad, and I was VEGANZ. But these algorithms, some of them, are set up. It paused it when I went away.
That's evil.
It's smart enough to like, okay, this guy is missing part of the ad. Let's pause it. And so it forces you to sit through the 12 seconds or 22 seconds ad. Man, that's a whole other social dilemma.
Yeah, that's a great movie, by the way. Social Dilemma is definitely worth seeing.
So finally, it's gonna let me play the actual.
Whoa.
Here we go. But you've set it up nicely, and people should go watch it. It's science fiction, right? Which a lot of
it's fun. It's fun.
Look at that, and Stacy has a great part. I'm gonna put the link.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, it's cool. Nice.
Connie, yeah.
Nice opening credits. Music is great. I actually just downloaded the soundtrack. It's actually really amazing.
Okay. And I love he's got a German first name, Japanese surname.
Yeah, he's
how
pretty amazing guy, Reiner. Really amazing guy.
Was that the Axis? Were the Germans and Japanese in the Axis? Someone was. Wow, look at that landscape. Okay, I'm in already. Just the cinematography is beautiful. And
it's about the Berlin club scene. So there's a lot of these kind of crazy scenes with young people, and
I should have previewed to find to get a shot with you, but so it's contemporary, right? It's right now. I mean,
it's very right now. It's very I mean, there's a lot of Berlin shows that are really popular.
I see.
I think I'm towards the end. I think my scene comes towards the end.
Okay. Well, I'll let folks go look at this themselves because
they can check it out. I mean, check it out. It's interesting. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of whoa. What's that?
It looks like it's forcing me to. As soon as you try to go forward, it gives you another ad.
Of course. Well, that's why it's free on Crackle because because they put up ads. So whatever.
I kvetch about it, but I understand that. This is what I'm getting for free. Well, I'll put the link up for folks, and that's that was pretty recent. You did that, right?
Yeah, we did that 2 years ago. Yeah, and and then we had a preview of that in February, and then I went to LA, and then I came back because we were opening that in February, and then the lockdown came. So basically nothing happened since then. And then we went on Crackle, and
So you were in the U.S. in February when
I came to. Well, I wanted to come to LA for 2 weeks and just see my friends and family and stuff like that because I'd had we'd worked a lot over the winter, and then I had to come back early because just the fates. I came back early because we had a big screening of Spides for the network and everything, and so Reiner said, "Oh, please come back early," and so I came back early, which is great that I did. Because, it was just right. I would have stayed right around, March and whatever.
Good. So. Glad you got out, man.
Yeah.
See, someone's okay. So Fuji's saying thanks for the nudge about growing a local garden. Robin's here. Robin says, says our lovely compost pile. Yes, with the richest soil. Robin's been an incredible gardener this whole lockdown. We've expanded. We grew so much. When I say we, it's her, and I've done a tiny little bit. But she's been delighted that we have this incredible soil. We just have this big pile of amazing organic soil that's been made in this yard. But and she says it doesn't invite critters, but we throw romaine for our groundhog, right? So people, if there's any takeaway, hopefully there's many today. So many wonderful stories from Stacy Thunes, but one of them unexpected that I hope you take is that here's someone who's composting in a city.
It just seems so weird that it's not normal, you know? It just seems.
So, those of you who, if you have a yard, if you have a little space, you have somewhere where you could be, doing some stuff in the backyard, look into it, find out about it. Oh, just buy a 25-gallon plastic garbage, a can or a metal one, and just look it up. It's so easy to take your food waste and have it become soil. So I'd love you to take that inspiration. A great question from Sabina, which segues for one of the topics we said we'd talk about, which is, she's really feeding some good questions here. She says, as a European, I have to ask Stacy's opinion about Brexit. As someone living in the UK, how does it affect you working for a German company? So you do live in Germany, and I think Sabina knows that at this point in the discussion. But tell us a little bit about how that might change your work.
Yeah, it's well, because I'm American. I'm an American citizen, so it doesn't really affect me that much because I'm American and I'm a resident in Germany. But I can't work in England. This is a kind of a thing we're going through right now. My boyfriend and I, trying to get married so that I can come over here and work. But if I work here, if I live here and have a residence permit here, I can't work in Europe. So that means I have to stay registered in Germany so I can keep working in Europe. And the thing that I noticed in the film business, which is getting really sticky, and the music business, is they, if you're shooting a movie if it's a British production and they want to shoot some scenes in Germany, they have to use a certain amount of European actors. They can't bring their British actors over. This is another thing that's going to change a lot. They did the Queen's Gambit. They shot all of that in Berlin. So there were a lot of actors that, they couldn't even use in England because they need to use certain amount in Europe. There's going to be a lot of changes. For me, it's not going to be, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not European Union per se. So, but there's a lot for my daughter, for example. She's got a German passport. She used to be able to just come over to England and work. That's not going to happen anymore.
Now, at all, or she has to climb through a bunch of paperwork?
They'll have to apply for a visa for her. And will it get approved? We have in England, there's a very difficult woman who is head of Home Office, and that is Priti Patel. And she is not very forthcoming with the desire to have immigrants, although she's an immigrant. Her parents are immigrants. Oh yeah, they're from India.
Parents, at least. And was she born in England, or
she was born in England, or I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't know if she was brought over when she was younger, but I know that her parents are both immigrants. So this is a whole other subject that really riles me up when immigrants themselves talk about how they don't want immigrants.
It comes down to that here. Let's see, and Priti Patel was born to Sushil and Anjana Patel in London. Yeah. So, and no surprises. Of course, I have relatives who were born in England but with Guyanese background or Jamaican background. So, but to your point, it's always like, guys, what? You're pulling the ladder up now.
Yeah.
And there's a long discussion there of okay, so interesting. So, and her grandparents were in Uganda, which is an interesting story. There was that movie with Denzel Washington. Remember that, where he was in love with an Indian woman who came from Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. I love to throw people things to go research, but people should go down that rabbit hole. There's a huge influx of Indians to Uganda, and there's a whole story there.
Wow.
And Mississippi Masala. That was the
right.
He fell in love with this beautiful Indian woman of Indian descent, but she was from Uganda. Her parents came. Anyway, thanks for putting me into the Priti Patel rabbit hole, though. Very interesting.
Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of problems for musicians working on the continent and vice versa. They didn't think about that. Yeah, there she is.
Look her up. I've read about her a few times. I have some British friends who have
She's an interesting woman. Yeah.
So she's pro Brexit.
Oh yeah, and she's hardliner. She's this whole Windrush. Do you know about the Windrush?
Sure. Again, relatives have been part of it, and
Yeah, yeah. There's been some very unfair things going on with her, and she doesn't seem to be forthcoming at all with, you know.
and is she conservative party? I guess she's a Tory. Oh, she considers herself a Thatcherite. You know, I mean, how does a brown person, after watching Thatcher recently on The Crown, I didn't need to. I knew Thatcher was reprehensible because I'm a punk rocker, and I so but how do you that's complicated. Yeah, how do you call it? Because she said some outright racist stuff, Margaret Thatcher, and really, you know, very anti the colonies in a condescending way. So that's very interesting. But I think yeah, we could do just a whole show on Brexit, but I think
Probably.
it's clear that you're not a fan and that it's going to cause complications. Do you see it in your film industry? It sounds like already companies, they're just going to make the movies elsewhere, though, right?
Well, the movie that, you know, I gave you the script to, that I hope you'll be able to write the music for, it would be awesome. My producer's talking about shooting it in Bulgaria.
I love it.
So let's do it. I mean, if we can get it made.
Is Sofia there? Sofia, Bulgaria, is that where that is?
Sofia is in Bulgaria.
Is there? Okay, I remember cities sometimes. I went there, and awesome food, by the way. Yeah, because but that's great. So I have a little connection to Sofia in my mind because I traveled there. But to your point, right? Sorry, England, they're just going to make movies elsewhere. Green screen Westminster Abbey into it. You know.
Yeah. It's you know, it's going to go that way, and I don't really think that they didn't think of any. I mean, look, they didn't even. They're on the brink of a no deal because of fishing. You know, it's like that's a whole. I mean, don't even get me started on that because of fishing.
Yeah, and it's fishing rights, and explain it to the folks a little bit. The British fishing industry wants to pretty much fish anywhere, right? Is that?
Yeah, they want to keep. You know, they want to keep them from fishing in their waters, basically, but they want to also, you know, I don't know the details. All I know is it's about fish, and about fishing, and then they can't agree on that, and that's, you know. But you posted that diagram, you know, where the British are already fishing, and it just seems, you know, like they're trying to colonize the oceans now. It feels like, you know.
It's what we do, is colonize the planet.
Right. We want to have fish. And I don't even see all that many Brits eating fish. You know, yeah, they have their fish and chips, and, you know, but why do they need to? It seems like an easy thing to deal with. That's what I'm saying. And it just feels like it's not. And anyway, our oceans are being stripped of so much fish anyway. So what are they even haggling about? It's not, in 10 years, there might not even be any more fish to fish. Yeah.
That's the other discussion. You know, no, but again, what I love is that it's all connected, folks. We're here on a food-oriented show. We've talked a lot about Stacy's food journey, her love of different types of food. And some of you might be saying, well, what does this have to do with it? Everything.
It's all connected. All connected. All the trucks, all the lorries that are now mild because they can't go into England. They can't go onto the continent now because they've all said, ooh, the virus, you're going to have to stay there. Trucks and trucks and trucks trying to get back. I mean, it's about food. It's all about food.
And I understand there's a lot of, for instance, the cheddar manufacturers in central England are mad because they don't want some Belgian bureaucrat saying it has to be 14.3% fat, or right? Is there a whole
there's all that, the regulations, and, you know, there's all of these kind of, it's just
are mad at that.
But that's exactly right what you said. It's all about food. It's all these discrepancies and all this stuff is about trade. And what is trade? It's 80% food. It's not furniture. It's not dishes. It's not sheets. It's food that's being transferred. The olives, the vegetables from Spain. You know, it's all about the food.
Yeah. And well, you know, I think one of the things is we have to start realizing it's a modern thing. We're if you read history and you read about what started World War I and all these things, sometimes it was a pretty simple thing, like 3 reasons, 2 reasons, 1 reason. I find that what's interesting these days as the world becomes complicated, you have a thing like Brexit where it's got everything we just listed, right? And we could list 30 different foods and the sardine argument, and they're arguing over how much wheat and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also a piece of the immigration stuff and the Polish workers and, you know, the healthcare arguments. And so it seems like modern issues, I'm not saying there were not complex issues in the past. I just think that they've gotten now that things have 10 different sides to it. And
But I mean, think about that, what you just said, when you think about Christopher Columbus, who came wanting spices,
right,
and what he did to the workers there to get, it's not much different.
There's a ton of parallels. Yes, it's imperialism in a nutshell. It's abusive capitalism.
Yeah, abusive capitalism, great term. Yeah.
Functional capitalism or democratic socialism, capitalism. You made a statement earlier, which I want to ask. I know you got to go soon, but you can stay. But I know you have to go soon. But tell us from the outside, looking into your home country, this same issue here, where we talk about Priti Patel and kind of minorities who are incredibly conservative in England and in other countries. And we've had that here. You and I spoke about this, how that while it's a win, it's a razor sharp one, folks. It's tens of thousands of mail-in ballots got the win for Democrats, which I voted for Joe Biden. But I'm looking behind my shoulder going, folks, you know, the other guy got 33% Latinas, 26% Black men with no college degree, 20% with a college degree, 8% Black women, which doubled from last time. He got more Muslims this time, more Asians. You know, in Florida, Cubans, Venezuelans, 50%. So same thing you just said of Priti Patel and other minorities in England who are very conservative. From the outside, and here's my question, from the outside, looking in as an American, reflect on that a little bit, how this is, can we roll up our sleeves and address this before the 2022?
I mean, this is so complicated because I'm an immigrant expat myself, and I have been for 33 years, when I look into America from now, I think it's so unbalanced. This whole country was built on immigrants. The whole country was built on, let's start from scratch and let's make a new country. So I don't understand that mentality at all about mine and this is our country and patriotism and all that stuff. It's confusing to me. It boggles my mind. I was brought up just thinking we could go anywhere we want just because we're to planet Earth. And this whole territorial stuff is so it's getting, the problem is I feel like it's getting worse. There's no way to come back to this unless you're going to be this spiritual being that's like, I am part of the whole planet, we're all part of one. People don't think like that. They don't think like that because they're territorial and they want to save what they have. And that's what America's become, is this, I want to save what I have. I don't care if I don't care if people are, working in sweatshops to make my H&M clothes. I don't care. I just need to have what I need to have. And that worries me.
Yeah, no, there's a lot packed into that. To play devil's advocate though on territories, because I'm with you. I have that. We're Aquarians. I have that utopia of like, oh man, the song Imagine there's no. And but then I have to ask, for instance, Germany has pretty robust borders and doesn't fool around. They make sure that you come in and your life is about this. You have to have the paperwork. You have to have, right? If you're an immigrant from Turkey or Italy or Morocco or Sudan or United States or China or England, they they get you in the system in Germany. They don't fool around. It's paperwork. It's a real. Now, my question always is, isn't that functional kind of being very careful about it what enables them to have a really good social state? I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally get that, and I see that with them. And there are two aspects to that. First of all, the first aspect is Germany is a small country. Germany is the size of Oregon and California and a little bit. Okay, so they have to have some kind of rule. I get it. I want to speak. I don't want to live in a country where I can't speak the language. So I'm going to learn the language, and I'm going to learn the history, and I did all of that stuff. So so I can totally see that. And the second thing is America was built on immigration. It was built on give us your poor, give us your hungry, let's work together. Germany was not built on that. It was an imperialist, it's a Kaiser, right? It's a completely different thing.
Absolutely. And homogenous, much more homogenous. I agree.
Yeah. And so America was built, I always felt that America was built on this inclusive, everyone's welcome.
Yeah, it finally was, but you're totally correct that it's apples and pears maybe to compare. A lot of those things we could scale up in America if we just started taxing the rich, so there's that.
But
the America built as immigrant, again, to play devil's advocate, isn't that kind of chapter 3? Because chapter 1 was bringing Africans here.
Of course.
Enslaving, murdering, torturing, raping, killing, and making us work for free.
Exactly.
So that's really the American story after the genocide of hundreds of tribes and stuff. And I know you know that. I'm not mansplaining that you know that. We talk about it all the time. But I just want to kind of recontextualize that's what really gave it the jump ahead during the industrial era and we were competing with all these other
course.
And then the Statue of Liberty story starts, the Ellis Island, right? That's
right. That's where I'm going from. That's what, because that to me is the ideal of America. Like now, after we've created all this carnage and all this negative karma, let's try and change that by making it a real melting pot and the vision of, right. So that's what's developing and happening right now. And that what worries me is that it's not going in the way in that direction. It's going more like Europe. It's going more,
Sure. I guess it's complicated, and I hope people think about this. And again, I always try to remind people, it really keeps coming back to food, because a ton of the immigrants from Central are coming here so your food could be cheap. They're coming here so that lettuce stays 49. They're here and they plug into an industry so that your chicken could be $1.49. No,
that is exactly, isn't that incredible how it all just goes down to food?
Piggybacking on what you said, the problem is we have not yet, you used the word karma, which is great, but we haven't yet fixed the karma of chapter 1 and chapter 2. Having a tribal woman, indigenous woman in charge of the interior department, is that her? Wow, what a spectacular moment. Right?
Yes.
Suddenly it's somebody with a different perspective. Like, I hope she comes in and she goes, okay. We're gonna, talk about this.
I would love that.
Our perspective. The Ellis Island thing, and maybe you can come back on and we just do a politics one. But the Ellis Island thing, what's interesting is that we invoke. Is that the word? Invoke. You're the writer. Which when you refer to something, are we invoking?
Invoking, yeah.
When we invoke Ellis Island, though, we got to be careful, because Ellis Island was incredibly strict and legal oriented.
Yes.
We say that, but we're not doing it. Ellis Island, you showed up. They looked at your teeth, looked at your hair, lice.
Right.
They quarantined you, right? If your name was Ellen Linshine, they changed it to Ellen Lewis. Goodbye.
Right.
Jose Gutierrez. No, you are Joe Jones. Goodbye. Right? Isn't that funny? So in a way, we're invoking this thing that liberals' heads would explode. And
Yes, exactly.
actually did Ellis Island. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Because it would be, but meeting it somewhere, we do need to fix immigration here in this country. I think everyone agrees with that, right? We gotta, because these are folks that are working hard. They're sometimes escaping refugee.
Yeah.
A lot about in Germany, right? You have.
Oh my God, that's a whole nother. So I mean, I could go on about that too. What the immigrants and people are rising up, and seeing the people that I know. I know a couple people several people actually, who've come from Syria, who are just working their asses off, and the Germans are sitting back going, "These immigrants are taking all our jobs," and you're just going, "And what are you doing?" "Oh, I get unemployment."
And they're are there also a lot of them in agriculture, right?
Yeah, and
working in the field.
and they're trying to get jobs, engineer jobs, trying to do, real jobs, and people are just like propaganda.
Complicated. No, well, I'd love to have you back on one of my other shows that's just politics.
That would be fun. Okay.
So was there anything that we didn't touch that you?
No, this has been great. Thank you all so much for having me. Thank you for having me, and Andre. This is really a great opportunity to just talk about all this stuff, my favorite subjects.
I always glance to see if there's any more questions, and I'm looking on no one on YouTube today with questions, but this is great because two things. Sabina says, Stacy, very European side of things. Yeah. Hoop gardening, town gardening. Okay. There's any other questions here, guys? Here's one. Laura Darty, who's a wonderful friend of mine and an amazing chef. She has cooked at Sue-Ann, actually the macrobiotic. She's cooked for Sacred Chow in Manhattan. She's an incredible chef. Hope you meet her one day.
Wow.
She was the very first guest on my show months ago. But she says, Stacy, I admire your positivity, creativity, your livelihood, and your stories are so interesting. I've been trying to stay tuned, but I'm working right now. She's cooking.
Oh, cool.
Caterer, and she says, so glad she can listen in, and okay, so glad she was able to listen in without having to look and get the picture of things. She's really enjoying it, eating local and everything. So that's.
I love it. Yay! Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you.
So there's a few other things, and then this is funny because I was just gonna say, hey, there's one more shout out, and Les July, who the great bass player, and if you know his name, but he's an amazing player, lives in New York, and a lot of great records of his own and with other people, bass player. So he says, hey, any relation to Scott, the birthday boy, Frank Zappa? How about that? Do you know this Scott Thunes guy? Who is that?
Yeah, I know him. He happens to be 1 year older than me. He's my brother from the same mother.
Literally.
I love my brother Scott. Yeah, my brother Scott. We were both born on January 20th. He was born in 60 and I was born in 61. And he's the best. Everybody else in our family has now passed away on that side. Everyone, and we were like, the two of us are left. We're looking at each other going, yeah, we made it. We were the black sheep and we made it. Yeah, he's great. He is my brother.
He is, to have the two of you in my life is just, I can't even, I get goosebumps. I love you both. And, it's funny. Maybe I knew that the same birthday, but so much comes together because Scott and I are great friends, and the Aquarian acerbic wit that
right. Oh, and he's really good at that.
And but yeah, I had met him on the '84 tour, actually, one of the first.
Wow.
Yeah. And then a few other times, '88, and then I met you in 2012 when he was there, and y'all played in a band then, right?
We did. Well, that was so funny. Okay, just quickly before I have to go. I was living in East Germany, and I was, my daughter was really small, and I was like, I need to do something creative. I can't really act right now, so so I'll just see if I can sing in a band. And so I found this all-girl rock band that was just starting, and they let me join, and there were 7 of us. And we were like trying to find a name. So we decided to call ourselves the Lewinskys. It was at the height of the Clinton era, and he was just having Monica Lewinsky. So we thought, well, let's just, instead of calling ourselves the President Lovers, which was my suggestion, they said, let's call ourselves the Lewinsky's. So Wolfgang from Zapanala, he heard about us, and he heard that my brother was Scott Thunes, and he said, would you guys like to play at the Zapanala? And we're like, yay! Because under one condition, you get your brother out of retirement. And I was like,
Right.
I don't know about that. But he was totally game. Scott said yes right away. So we got Scott and Mike Keneally, and yeah, and that's how that happened.
I'm gonna find some video because it was great. It was, you know,
It was hysterical. I listened to a recording recently, and I was just like, oh no, my God, it was so awful. But it was fun. It was so much fun to be on stage with my brother. And there's a great shot of our drummer, Manu, with Mike Keneally and my brother. It's such an amazing picture. I'll see. I think Manu has a copy of it. It was beautiful. She was like, I can't believe I'm playing with these guys. Oh my God. It was awesome. Yeah, it was amazing.
Well, let's end there. Ending on music's a beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Stacy Thunes, actress.
Thank you so much.
Singer, vegan, activist. Let's have you back, and let's do like an all politics show.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tell me, yeah. Let's do that. And let me give me some time to like prep.
and we will update people on the movies. And as you said, I've been invited to be, you know, part of the.
Yes. Oh, very exciting. Very exciting. Talk about that next time too.
And we'll talk about her new movie as it develops. But go look at the links I did, and check Stacy out in some films. And
thank you all so much. Have a great day, you guys.
See you soon.
Bye.
Right. There you go, folks. Wow, what a blast. You know, this show is so therapeutic for me because you folks show up and you ask great questions and you get me going. And that is, I really thank you. It's therapy. I can't lie, you know, none of us can. This shit is fucked up. This is an existential crisis, what we're going through, right? All these months. And I get, like anyone else, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty ready for the apocalypse. I really am. I'm pretty dark up here. So I'm sitting here going, yep, total destruction. Sure. Existential crisis. Oh, collapsing industries. All right. Got it. Massive death. This is okay. Popcorn. Can we, what else is happening? Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Stock market's collapsing. All right. You know, I'm dark. I'm sitting here. It's a sci-fi movie. I mean, that was dark right there. That was humorous. Of course I care about all the loss and the business closing and stuff, but I'm also like, I process it in a very clinical way. But I get depressed. I curl up in a ball sometimes. And my point being, I want to give gratitude. I want to give thanks to Stacy for being part of 2 hours of just happy, you know, fun stories and talks and learning about someone else's life. And I want to thank you folks. I really do, because you get me out here every Monday, when, especially Monday, right? You've just watched Sunday news, which is really the only time we sit and watch news. Really, that's it. We read the news. We listen to NPR every day. We kind of, we take a few days off, but Sunday's the day we sit and watch the news. And so by Monday, you're definitely going like, oh my, oh fuck, did you see this? So this is always good. This is a great thing on Monday to see some of your names here each week, and to see some of you. I so appreciate it. What I also appreciate is, for some of you, you've taken it on as a as what I've intended it to be, an inspiration for people to say, you know, I could do this one day a week. I can. And so I really have a lot of love for that so many of you have started out. Whenever I started the show, I don't even know. I should figure that out, so I can say every day, it's the 22nd show. But sometime in I don't know, September, was it? I don't know. Who knows? We started August or September, and the to see some of you, a few people have messaged me. I get private messages. I get people saying, I've gone vegetarian or I've gone back vegetarian. A couple people were like, I used to do this 20 years ago. Why did I stop? And it's just so heartwarming to see that even if one person has said, I am reducing animal suffering and just these highly processed, drugged up flesh foods that are on the market. And I'm growing. A couple of people said, someone just said before, Fuji, she's inspired to start her garden up. And this has happened for a couple of months now. Folks have been saying, I'm sprouting now on my kitchen table. I'm growing. We did tomatoes. Wow. I really can't thank you enough, because that's a reflection of just I'm trying to inspire, and it's wow, just so gratifying to see that inspiration gets out, because I'm inspired by all of y'all. I'm inspired by people every day. I'm always inspired by people I listen to in the media sometimes. Trevor Noah, you take someone as mainstream as that guy inspires me. He had Barack Obama on 2 days ago talking about his new book. That guy inspires me still. It forces me to think about stuff and look up some history. So inspiration is a crucial thing. Chelsea Jackson Roberts, do you know who that is? Wow, look her up. What a dynamo, what an incredible woman. We study yoga with her on our Peloton app. Wow, what an amazing inspiration. Every day I see her and hear her words. So I just wanted to talk about that for a minute, folks, and talk about inspiration, and that you inspire me to get out here and do this every week. You inspire me to bring on amazing, thoughtful people like Stacy Thunes, like Hakeem from Nigeria with his restaurant, like Eric from California with his restaurant, or Lacey or Laura, all these wonderful guests. I just want to pause as we at the solstice, because we're shifting into a new segment of the year, and I just wanted to just reflect on that and thank you for dialing in and asking questions. And I'm going to finish up as I always do. I'll wrap up in a little bit, but I go with the questions. So let's see if anyone has any stuff to say. Has some stuff to say. Laura, yes, Robin is incredible. She really is. Saves my life, saves my mental stability. Stacy does rock. Laura says a friend just ordered up compost pickup. That's awesome. Yeah. Sabina has a worm composter on the balcony and in the cellar. It's great. Just living it. The loss of Schengen is bad. I was thinking of live and work in the UK, but now it's nearly impossible. Wow. Yeah, I know, right? For people who wanted to go to the UK, this sucks, man, because it's kind of, you were at one point enhancing the UK, right? Bringing in new opportunity and new investment, and people moving their savings there and moving their brain trust. And the confused conservative vote has fucked this up for the UK. And I know some Brits who voted for this, and I give them a hard time. The impact on the trading, yeah, mostly hard for Europeans. Well, we're going to see how it goes. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for checking in. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Laura, what's the name of that macrobiotic restaurant? The one, so Suen was there, Sacred Chow. What's the one that was like kind of a pop culture one that was, I never can remember. We would go there after Bike New York. So it's on the east side, macrobiotic, and kind of hip, kind of, a little more upscale, but not super expensive. What was that macrobiotic restaurant, Laura? And is it still there? Because I want to highlight them. Green screen, yep. Yeah, it's about the fishing rights. I mean, it says Brexit, and yeah. Yeah, eat local. Yeah, absolutely. Um, as much as you can. We do. We're excited every Friday because we get a box dropped off on the front porch at the front door, which is it's from a CSA, community community supported agriculture. Is that what it means? And I've got a long list of guests to come on here, folks, and that's one of them. I want to get these folks from the CSA. Last week we had Don Preston from the Mothers. He's been vegetarian since the 50s. Week before that we had Hayat Boras, who's a local chef. So I love doing the local stuff. But we're going to get someone from the CSA. But I encourage you, look for a CSA where you live. They're great, and I've been involved in using them for 30 years in my life or more. About 30 years. Yeah, about 30 years, going back to when I lived in New Brunswick and working at the co-op, and we would get these, what do they call them? A discount box or something. There was a word for it, but you would pay a flat, it was like $20, and it was no questions asked. We're not going to trade anything. Yes, that squash has a broken, the crook neck is broken off, or those bananas need to be frozen by Friday, or you kind of got stuff that was, nothing was rotten or bad at all, but yeah, a tomato with some a little ugly shape, or some of that dry stuff that tomato has around the stem, just distressed produce, the stuff that unfortunately in our society we tend to be trained to go to produce, pick through and find the perfect pepper, we squeeze 22 avocados like idiots till we get, no, buy 4 avocados, fucking ripen them at your home. So there's a whole mentality that's and I sit there and watch people when I'm waiting to get some onions or something, and she's just going through everything, or he's just going through the lemons, and there's a kid going through and you're like, really, guys? They all have nature's asymmetric stuff happening. So there's a whole story there, and I've read about it and known about it for years because I was a produce manager in 2 different natural food stores. And if you knew the whole industry behind the beauty of vegetables, your head would explode. So things are graded and separated, and you don't even see 60-70% of what produce looks like. By the time you get to Whole Foods or Albertsons or Pathmark or Ingles or whatever, it's been sorted. So CSAs are very valuable, and most produce companies do this also, where they will gladly sell you the seconds for almost nothing. So I always want to come back to that, because people who are concerned that organic food's too expensive, that's a great way to get organic food. So find out, just Google for CSA locally, community supported agriculture. Sometimes it's called other things like organic co-op, or, look around for an organic food delivery in your locality, and just ask them, say, look, I'm on a tight budget. Do y'all do anything like this? And you'd be surprised, because I've seen this in many, many, many places. And it's something that if they don't do it, they should be, because every produce company has seconds, every single one. You just do, because you open that box of peppers or bananas or red potatoes or whatever, and there's going to be stuff that's broken, stuff that does have a bad section that you need to chop off. And so if you'd like to eat healthier, eat more organic, eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, and you're on a budget, as many of us are, myself included, look into that, or ask me questions on how to find it, because it's out there. Let's see. Any other comments? Europeans, being members of the EU, are allowed to live in every state in the EU. I know, right? EU is a sensible thing. So basically, no Italian immigrants anymore, right? You could just be somewhere. You, as a German, Samina, can go to work in Bulgaria or Romania or Spain. I love it. Yes, I've understood that for years, and I love it. That's the bad thing about the EU. Yeah, the UK leaving. Let's July. Yes, obviously, perfect timing, bro. Because I was literally going to wrap up with like, who's this guy? And then I look over. There's your question. U.S. is one of the 3 big immigration countries where you're sitting if you're born there. So, okay, so that and I'll say that yes, that's kind of built into. I mean, every country has immigration, right? It's just a matter of how many rules they have. But the word though, and you're making a great point. We're one of the few by the number. What is there? 200 countries on Earth. Let's just say. I think it fluctuates. It's 212 or 215. People don't realize this, and the word is juste soli. Juste soli. It's 2 words. Jus. Second word, soli. Soli. Juste soli. And what that means is birthright, citizens' right by being born on soil. And most Americans assume that that's a universal thing, because most Americans assume everything is the way we do it, because we're the best, we're the greatest. But that notion that you are born here and you're automatically a citizen, you're exactly correct, Sabina. That's not the norm. In fact, it's mostly in the Americas. People should look this up. It's a fascinating topic. So let me be clear on that. The Americas. So Canada, USA, Mexico, and then straight through Nicaragua, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Panama, Costa Rica. Did I miss, maybe I missed one. Honduras, Belize, whatever it's called now. And then straight on down, Colombia, Venezuela, all the South American countries, Chile, Guyana, Suriname, almost across the board, all have juste soli, which means, again, if you're there illegally without papers, you're not from that country, but you have a child. That child is a citizen. We assume that's the norm in America. Go look that shit up. It's not at all. England doesn't do that. I was just talking to a friend in Singapore. Singapore doesn't do that. Most of Asia doesn't do that. You look at the map, there's 2 or 3 spots that do that. If I remember correctly, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, they don't do that. You can't just have a child there and it's then a citizen of the country. I know there's people out there freaking out hearing this. They because it's been normalized for us, but that's not the norm. It's the exception. Because what it does is you have an incentive to do your paperwork if your kid's not automatically a citizen. I'm sorry, working democracies start with working borders, and ours is broken as fuck. And it starts with there's really no incentive to really get that shit correct. Why bother if we have 5 children here? That's 5 American citizens. What? So what does this have to do with food? Everything, because the economics of food agriculture, especially in the United States, is completely and utterly dependent on illegal workers because they can abuse them. That's what the left needs to put these 2 pieces together. My fellow progressives, my fellow liberals, my fellow, hate to even, just because the DNC sucks, but I'm a Democrat by, nauseatingly so when you look at the modern Democratic Party. But certainly my values line up with, most of their stuff. But they're horrible, right? We don't have to describe, but my point being that progressives need to change their view on this. We've got to push for legality. We're screwed otherwise. We have to push for these folks to have paperwork, to have legality. And again, I'm talking about food, guys, gals. I'm talking about food right now. I'm talking about food. I'm saying you need to support local and organic food and food that maybe costs a little bit more in the aggregate, because we got to start paying El Salvadorans and Hondurans and other immigrants from around. There's actually net reduction in Mexicans coming over. Mexican economy has gotten so good, a lot of Mexicans are going back to Mexico. So a lot of our recent Central American immigrants are actually, they come through Mexico, which Mexico freaks out about. That's some fun footage. Mexican people screaming, "Go home," to Hondurans and El Salvadorans. I love Rachel Maddow, but she never shows that because that's too confusing for the modern liberal mind. I'll say it again. Brown skin, people speaking Spanish, Mexicans holding up signs. "No immigrants, go home, get out." Yeah. When Texans do it, they put that on TV because there's a narrative. But so I'm going to be doing a lot more of these more politically bent discussions. I insist that this one has everything to do with food, vegan food. You want to eat vegan food? Who's making it? Who's picking broccoli and asparagus and apples and almonds and stuff? We got to reckon with that because it translates into us losing a lot of political power if we don't solve this, which will in turn affect our food. So I'm just hopefully people, don't shy away from looking at this stuff and scratching your head like, what can we fix here? So okay, so I'm going to end with a couple of food products and then we're out. Sabina, we're not alone. Exactly. Thank you, Ann Everett. Thanks for checking in. Yes, it was great information today. Frank Molina, eat the rich, put a bite on the son of a bitch. Lemmy, right? Anthony, am I listening to any special Zappa today? Not yet. My Zappa celebration starts shortly. Zappa's always in my head, though. Oh my God, you should hear what's going on in my head. It's like that. Something like that. That's what's inside my head. And more on that. So Stacy announced it, and now the world knows, which is cool. I was asked. She's hired me. I wasn't sure if I was hired, but I'm very excited to be working. And it's the second film I've worked on. I did a music for a short film called Thread about 20 years ago. Really cool, just kind of indie film that a college professor did. And it, I love foreign films and art films, and big fan of art cinemas. If there's an art cinema where I live, which there is here, I love, going to see independent film. and I love that we can do that online a lot. So I'm very excited to be working on Stacy's upcoming movie. And I did one about 20 years ago, and this one's called The Disinterested. So very excited and putting together some music, and it's going to be all kinds of different music. So stay tuned for that, and I'll do some previews. But there might be some moments like that, you know. So let's finish with a few other questions. And oh yes, Robin is saying yes to Les. That it was yep, they're siblings. I didn't know they had the same birthday. How cool! Wow, 1 year apart, same day. That's you know, stop touching all the produce. That means their parents took the same vacation at the same place a couple years in a row. That would have been let's see too. Oh, I can't do the math here. It'll be every May. Mom and Dad would stay at the same lake house, and almost the same weekend. Let's see. Stop touching, stop touching all the produce. Yeah, Robin, you're right, man. You go shopping, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Can you? I need to get some avocados. Can we be finished here? Just take 3 mangoes. Like, anyway, we were getting delivered some Misfits Market where they specifically pushed misshapen. That's true. Every time you canceled it because they were too good. They're perfect. Sabina says 3 big immigration countries are USA, New Zealand, and Australia. I didn't know that. I mean, really, more immigration than say Italy, because Italy's got massive immigration. So does England. Massive influx of Eastern Europeans, especially Poles. So expand that for me, because Australia is pretty fucking strict. Actually, you gotta, now that they invaded it, now that the English and a lot of English prisoners were brought and dumped there, now let's close the door. But that's the story of imperialism, right? Yeah, the Australians, don't get me started. They can be nasty fuckers, and I love it. I love been to Australia twice, I think. Yeah, twice. Lovely place. We were looking into it though. If we were to move there, I think it's 50 grand each because we're over age 40, just barely. But yeah, 50 grand. I salute them. What? They're saying, yeah, because you're going to come and get on healthcare in a few years. You're going to do the paperwork. You're going to be a permanent citizen and then a citizen, however many years it takes. But that's not free. Sorry. And I mean, I just don't see why that's a bad thing. I just don't. Shit collapses otherwise. The solution is a more just global economy so that people don't want to leave Syria. They don't want to leave Honduras. They don't want to run away from their beautiful places that they'd rather not, actually. And this is proven as the market economies improve and thrive even in South America, where I'm from. Chileans and Peruvians are leaving less than they did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe 60s, 70s, 80s. But because it's a thriving economy now, it's peacetime. They don't have dictators running them as they did. They don't have desaparecidos. They don't have secret police in the night, to the extent that they did. There's still problems in those countries. There's still crises. There's still recessions. I'm not saying, because that's what I really, those of you who know me, I make my own blood pressure go up because I know there's some jerk that's going to find the bad things in Peru. And as if I don't know that. I'm not saying they're perfect countries. I'm saying if you're from there, comparatively speaking to the down years, the really depression, recession years, combined with the police state years that you've lived through, if you're, say, in your 40s or 50s in some of those countries, things are great now because suddenly you've got a democratic process. You've got a whole new world economy. I've got countless friends. I've got friends in Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, family in Guyana, where the economy is a little different, and it's a little different of a type of economy. Sugar and gold and minerals and lumber kind of drive it, some oil. But in some of these economies, people stay. People are staying in Guyana, where I'm from, more than they used to, because it's turned around in many ways. There's problems, but that's my point. If we can do stuff that the world economy changes, that you love staying in Nigeria because you're thriving, then all of a sudden you have this balance. All of a sudden you don't have people leaving because the fucking place is on fire. And it's often on fire because of us in the US. Because of us. Yeah, I said it. As Chris Rock would say. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. I love Chris Rock. Speaking of astrology, I was born within 48 hours of Chris Rock in February 1965. But I digest. You know, all those decades of American imperialism, because we always talk about the imperialistics of England and Portugal and all these places. We're USA. We got Philippines and what happened in Guam and what happened in Hawaii, the run up to becoming a state. But in recent times, El Salvador and Nicaragua and Guatemala, yeah, the banana republic kind of model where we enabled literally agricultural giants to go and really abuse these countries for a small cost for the companies, big cost for the people and the environment and the ensuing, fascism, really that happened. Again, I paused. Today I'm doing this on purpose, getting a little connecting a little bit because of the time we're in. I'm sure someone's going, what about the food? What about I am talking about food. Because I want us to think a little bit too of the politics of our food. Why does it cost what it costs? Where's it coming from? What can you do to change it? And always my message is eat more local, grow some food if you can. That will change it. So kind of all connected. But let's close with some delicious sounding stuff because I'm going to go have some late lunch. Talk to me about what you're cooking for dinner. Any holiday plans as you stay your ass home? What are you cooking? What are you doing? Stay your ass home. I'm reading about millions of Americans traveling. Wow, that's so troubling. Jesus Christ. It's not like we have the worst numbers on earth, That's what's amazing too in the US. We blew off masks for a chunk of time. We had a ton of people, governors and mayors not doing anything to inspire safety. And it still blew up and became the worst numbers on earth. How did that happen? Okay. So Germany, you can marry a German citizen, get a work visa, or you're here as an assailant. Okay. Being an assailant, I like that name. It makes sense right away. It means you're here because there's war in your country. Yeah. You need to go back though as soon as the war's over. Hey, that's the Germans. I love the Germans. What? Why wouldn't you? If you're telling me you're here because of the war, all cool. We set a timer, and when the war's done, so long and thanks for the fish. What? Why is that so bad? But again, modern liberalism. Wow, liberals are so broken, right? And I am a liberal. I'm progressive, and I'm just saying it's so fucked because they think that's somehow racist or wrong. No. You have a country. It's awesome. Syria is beautiful. The history, the culture. When it's running right, you would never want to leave there. I've only seen footage. I'd move there in a minute if the circumstances. So I love that. So the Germans are saying once the war is over, you go back. No African can immigration as an assailant just because she is poor. Yeah, just so you know how much the U.S. is. I know, but Sabina, the difference is people come here without paperwork. So it's not special, actually. We should have a discussion on that. It's not, because it hurts those folks because they're never going to get proper benefit and return for their blood and sweat investment. See what I'm saying? This is a problem. People who are illegal in the United States, they come, say they're working on a farm or a chicken slaughtering factory, cut their arm off. Adios, Jose. No, yo no comprendo, says the boss. Gives him $100 and he's gone. Jose has no Social Security now, no workman's comp, probably has real problems going and getting that arm fixed and cauterized. I mean, you go to the emergency and all that, but healthcare to get a prosthetic, say, and that's coming out of pocket, pal. So we are hurting immigrants by not fixing this, liberals. We're hurting them because that's an extreme example, an injury on the job, but not really. One of the higher rate job injury areas is agriculture, right? There's a lot of machines and sharp things, and you're in the mud, and there's pathogens, and there's a long list of stuff. A lot of repetitious movement injuries and carpal tunnel and on and on and on. The meat slaughter industry, go look it up. The amount of carpal tunnel, repetitive motion stuff. Whew, and it's like, see you later. You got no health care. Thanks a lot for working for $12 an hour. Fuck you. So Archer Daniels Midland and Tyson Chicken and what's the big pork, murderers, and Dole and the lettuce people and then Foxy and all these companies. So it's across the board. They love this. They love the illegality because you can abuse people. And it's brilliant, the whole thing, because by turning it around so that liberals support it because it feels really open and laissez-faire. Hey, we have Sanctuary. It's cool. I'm reading a Piers Anthony novel or something. It's Sanctuary. Just come on in. Not Piers Anthony, whoever wrote Logan's Run. No, it's horrible for them at the end of the day when they turn 60 or 65 or something. Now, fortunately, it's a long story, and I read a lot about this. Elderly people are obviously taken care of in those communities because they are family-oriented communities for the most part, and grandpa just lives there. Grandma just lives there. Child, grandchild, usually citizens. So again, you have a lot of solutions there, but we should fix it. So all that to say, radically different here. The silent issue. Anton says, LOL, I'm not sure what you're laughing to. Ryan, what's up, my friend? You heard some of the music? Oh, that's touching. Your 2-year-old heard some of my weird music and was dancing. Okay. This is countries where citizens are born. No, you're right. That's interesting, Sabina. Totally different definition of the word immigration. I see what you're saying. You're saying in your language, immigration means a child is a citizen when they're born. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we have a different understanding of it in the US. Yours is more accurate though, as you do in German. Being the one building the law. Okay, great. Christopher Lowry gets back and he got Nasoya Kimchi. Okay. Kendall Scott, what's up, dude? Kendall says, what? I don't know. Which stupid thing was I saying that you said what to? Hopi, yeah. Well, I need no convincing about Hopi. Hopi's great. Yeah. Kimchi 199. I got you. Traveling. Okay. Traveling. Okay, you're going to hang out with a quarantine person. Ann Everett says, stay the heck at home. Yes. But what can we do? I know people with a bunch of excuses flying. I know someone flying into the hot spot of America, flying to California. Why? Literally, mayors and leaders in California are saying, please don't come. Please, we're begging you. We're swamped here. Don't come. But I know some people that are going. Oh, well. Hide. Yes, it's easier to hide being unlegal. Yeah, I love that. Unlegal. That goes deep. Absolutely. No, it's a different country. We're big country with a lot of pockets to disappear into, and a purposeful regime that will help you be illegal. Like I said, every agriculture company, everyone growing broccoli and apples and cherries and almonds and greens and lettuce and spring mix and all the popular, the citrus companies, all the big 12 vegetables and fruits that are sold have a big dependence on migrant workers, illegal workers. We never call them expats. Isn't that funny? I think that's a little racist. Expats, like the cool thing when you know, you're an American, but you're in Kenya. We're expats. You're immigrants. You're working immigrants, actually. You're migrant workers, right? Isn't that funny? Think about that. No one ever sees some guys in LA standing on the corner, um, doing what they do and waiting for a gig, in the morning. Um, uh, the guys who do that, and I'm not saying all Latinos and Latinas do that, of course not, but the guys who make their living, they're day laborers. They come down, they know where construction and agricultural and painting companies are going to pull up and say, "Hey, we need 12 guys." You know, I think it's great because it plugs in. I just want to help them. I want them to have rights and to have, But ever notice? You ever see someone see those folks and say, "Wow, look at the expats down in LA. These expats picking our mushrooms and broccoli, man. These expats, it's funny, right? So two different words. Um, but we need to fix it. So um, that's great. Okay, so we talked about new product here, exciting new product called well, 3 flavors, Hellman's vegan mayo. We're very excited. I'm always excited too when these mainstream companies come around. That is so incredible. Because it means we've won a battle. It means we've won a new level of advocacy in this whole discussion. So there's a couple other foods that I wanted to make sure you all know about. Let's see. There's this one. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is exciting. The Veggie-Full is the name of this company. Oh, Del Monte. Yeah, you remember Del Monte, right? Big company, right? Look at what Del Monte's doing now. So it's vegetarian, not vegan. It's vegetarian with some sort of no artificial flavors cheese in there. But how cool! Del Monte, folks. Del Monte. We already talked about Bird's Eye and well, I forget the other company. Bird's Eye and Green Giant. So Bird's Eye, Green Giant, and now Del Monte. So this is a vegetarian, rosemary-based, plant-based. So it's like a little pocket, like a little hot pocket with mushroom, spinach, and the seitan, kind of wheat gluten kind of replacement for chicken. And then it's got cauliflower crust. Jesus, I can't believe I'm saying these words and having them involve Del Monte. Then you've got this one, these wonderful flatbread pizzas, and look at that, a plant-based pepperoni, plant-based pizza supreme. So I guess it's got that, Beyond Beef or something. The point is, the textures you've grown up with, the flavors you've grown up with, some of this stuff now, it is blindfold test, man. And I've done that. I've given some of this, not these exact brands, but along the way, given this food to vegetarian, to mainstream eaters, meat eaters, and they go, I like this. There's sausage on it, Andre. Why are you cooking it? And I'll say, that's pepperoni from plants. And so I've definitely had, and some meat eaters go, it's a little different for me. I don't like it. That's fine. But most of the time I find they go, yeah, this is good. I can taste a little difference. It's a little chewier, or it's a little saltier or not saltier. They can tell, but they go, yeah, this is fine. I would eat this. So that's exciting. And then in the top right there, this company has a vegan pie. Look at that. So this is regular supermarket, Harris Teeter. And finally, there's this company. I didn't get the name, but wow, cauliflower wings. And there's a teriyaki and a sweet mustard version. Cauliflower is really blowing up, folks. I mean, it is. Wow, you see riced cauliflower, where they process it into like a rice shape, and you cook it like rice. But you now have a low carb substitute for rice. A lot of people avoiding grains and carbs. So that was exciting. And I always like to share with you some of these, just brand new things that are happening. Let's see. I thought there was another kind of yeah, we showed that. Oh yeah, here this was exciting too. Another old school company. Look at this, Quaker Oats with an organic flavor. That is so cool. I mean, just the fact that they're digging in and responding to this. I thought this was interesting too. This is news from about a year and a half ago, but it really shows they predicted some of this trend a year and a half ago, and we're there now, and they're just kind of going through vegan options at fast food. And they're talking about Blaze Pizza has a spicy chorizo, Red Robin, Burger King, both doing Impossible Burger. Just incredible. Del Taco is doing a vegan kind of a beef style. And again, this kind of stuff, I've seen meat eaters eat that and not know it all. Yeah. Chipotle has their sofritas. KFC practicing testing a vegetarian version of its chicken in UK and Ireland. So anyway, I think you see where I'm going here. I just want to get people excited that there's a real bunch of revolution happening here. A real bit of change. And these stuff like this, the Impossible Veggie Burger. That's never exciting, seeing a laboratory with your food, but I get it. They were just showing that it's beet juice, actually, so it's kind of funny. They use beets to give a blood taste, a blood kind of a color. So that's fine. And then they're also growing meat in labs, though. Did you read this? We talked about that last week. It's now legal in Singapore. That's right, lab-grown meat. I'm not a fan, of course. I'm not going to eat that. But in a country that spent decades eating frozen dinners, it's not that much different. Okay, so all right, folks, I'm out of here. Let's go to the last comment or so. And Sabina's off. Bacon eggs. I know, Christopher. Well, they obviously go for the, what they're probably using? Like smoke, like a smoke flavor and a saltiness. Pretty easy to get bacon umami. Actually, I've seen it 10 times. Classical immigration countries in South America. Yeah, meaning all countries are immigration as they needed people. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sabina. Thanks for some great insight today, and I hope you get to meet Stacy and speak German. Hey, Todd Reynolds, what's up, buddy? What's up, my brother? We should do like an election kind of catch up, man. The 6-week edition. Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm gonna, partially inspired by you. I need to do this more. I need to segment it and do. I did one on politics the other day, and it's exciting because people want to talk, But I did one specifically on 3 topics: the vaccines and Live Nation and how it's changing our industry, and on a little bit on the Biden nominees, and the third area I forget, but not important. Anyway, just wrapping. Brain Dead Casey, you have a great week too. Todd Reynolds, hope your show was great. This is the one day I don't get to see your show live and heckle you a little bit. And no, I don't. It's funny though, because sometimes you're expecting me to heckle. It's funny, and I have fun with that. I chuckle because you see I'm on there, and you're like, "Here's Andre," and he's gonna bust my chops. I know he's gonna. Here's Todd. Todd's like got his instrument, and he's, and there's Andre, and there's a little worry comes over his face. He's like, "Oh man, he's gonna give me a hard time. He's gonna, yeah. I'm wearing a polo shirt. He's gonna bust my balls about migrant labor. I know, here it comes." Right? No, and it's really cool. It's like because that I'm always trolling and chop busting along with all the love. So, but no, it's I've been stopping by, truly enjoying your you're doing a lot more music, which is great. The music's straight through the half hour now, and you're coming up with these great ideas. So again, folks, my dear brother, and we kind of cross-platform. The two of us, we check out each other's chats, and I love when we do one together because we bounce ideas, and I always come away going, "He's right." That's okay. I changed my view on that, or I'm going to put this a different way now because Todd intellectually stimulates me. It gets me going. Yeah, you need to rephrase that. You need to recontextualize that. He's bringing, and so really a dear friend because he's another polymath because he's doing these shows. Level up your presence. We've talked about it a few times here, and I'm doing that, man. I'm trying to level up my presence with this show, and he's doing a lot of music. So he's talking about Ableton Live and modern musicians, modern digital musicians, or acoustic musicians coming from that world. How do I get into all this? How do I learn about these tools? Because I better. Here we are. We're stuck at home. You ain't playing at Carnegie Hall anytime soon, or Joe's Pub, or the Lion's Den. You're just not. So he addresses how to maybe look at some tools, and we do that together when we're talking together. Well, here's Todd says, "Yeah, man, you missed me on Mondays. Thank you." But I can go watch it on the rerun. I always forget that, and it's yeah, bro. Share the airspace. So we need a Zoom cocktail to just hang and catch up. But let's do that, folks. I'm out of here. We'll talk soon. Let's close with a little music. Good night, folks. See you next week. As Terence McKenna said, the plants have a plan for the planet. Enjoy the solstice. If you can, check out Jupiter, Saturn. Happy birthday, Frank Zappa. And thank you to one of my favorite vegetarians, Paul McCartney, for sending us this incredible album. If you're a Paul fan, wow, great record. So a lot of music, a lot of love, a lot of planet alignment, a lot of entering the age of Aquarius today. This is it. You've heard about this for 50 years in the song. Today, the solstice shifts into that. Also shifts us into that. A lot of stuff today. So good. Continue having a good day. Thanks for, giving me a reason to do this. Take care.